All right, hello out there, everybody. I think everything is up and working and sounding good. I guess I'll just kind of get started. I guess I'll give a real quick introduction on what the plan was for today. Anybody who watches this later or just jumped in knows what's going on. But the plan is to just build out a full 3D game. We won't build like Call of Duty, but we'll build something that's relatively fun, simple and playable. Something where we can, shoot things, blow up enemies, have stuff spawn, keep track of score and all that. It should be somewhat quick. I don't know exactly how long it's gonna take. Like I said earlier in the chat, I was just gonna keep going until the game's done or until my wife just walks in here too many times and says it's time to end that. You need to come hang out. So that would mean it's going pretty long though. So I'm gonna get going and we'll just get started with a brand new project. I'm gonna switch over to a new view. So hopefully you can see everything. I might need to move things around a little bit. Just because you might not be able to see what I'm doing. In fact, as I look at this more, I can see like, hey, I probably should at least move that little section of me blabbing down to here somewhere. Get it kind of out of the way. I don't know. Maybe I can shrink it down a little bit too. Okay, now I'll get going with me sitting right there in the middle. So, plan now was to build out a shooter, something similar to what you saw in the screenshot. So earlier I went through, grabbed some art packs, tried to find something that I thought looked kind of cool and that would work for building out a game. And I came across this Toon Apocalyptic City, this robot pack, and this robot soldier. I think one of them was free and the others were a couple dollars. So I just grabbed them and got them ready, tried them out. They seemed really cool. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to start with this Toon Apocalyptic City. We're just in the package manager, by the way. So anybody who's new to Unity or like just new to game development, you can get to this window with window and then package manager. And it just shows you the things that you've already bought in the asset store. Or at least the view that I'm seeing right now shows the things that I bought in the asset store. You can also see the built-in packages that are all available for all of the different kind of built-in Unity systems. But I'm looking at the package manager or the asset store stuff instead. So here I'm pulling in my Toon Apocalyptic City. I'm just going to import it. And then I'm going to import in these other two packs. So this will just grab the entire pack and pull it right into my project. I bought these again on the asset store, which is now in that Unity, or it's just in a web version only. You can't access it through the Unity editor anymore. I don't know if that's permanent or if that's going to change and come back or what, but right now you have to go buy them on the web and then import them like this. So I'm going to import in the robot pack. I think this one was actually relatively large. This one might take a second. Let me look at the chat real quick. Questions about the video. So yeah, the video will be available after offline. And when you start with this, I started this one with a 3D project instead of URP, but it could easily be URP. You would just have to maybe update the materials. That's really easy to do. It just wasn't something that I wanted to run through for everything that we pulled in right now, especially since I probably won't make it look any better by switching over because I'm terrible at making things look really pretty. Um, some other questions about that. Let's see. Is it going to be single player or networked? It'll be it's not going to be networked, but maybe it'll be multiplayer like local multiplayer. I have some PlayStation controllers sitting around, so maybe I use those or just it might be single player. I don't know. See how it goes. Depends on if anybody's in here to play with me too. It's multiplayer and I got to play by myself. That's not very fun. So let's import in that last guy. And then hopefully we'll be able to get started putting some things together. And then people asking if it's going to be available to play. Maybe I'll just zip it up or do a WebGL build or something to see if there are any issues with it. Let's get going though. Let's go into scenes. So I've imported it in. Oh no, I want to go into the Toon Apocalyptic City and go into its scenes. And there's an objects one. I think this is just showing all the different props. Yeah. And then the cover image one, which was an actual level. Since I don't want to build a level and I'm terrible at level building, I'm gonna just start with that. Actually, let me turn this other light on real quick. That helps a little bit. Okay, so let's do something with this level. I think I want to use this and just set up my player somewhere in here to be able to run around, kind of as a first drop. But I want to look because I think this thing was full of cameras. So up here in the hierarchy, I'm just gonna do a quick search for cameras. Oh yeah, and I can see just type in CAM. There are 4 of them. Actually, this might be a good way to pick a good shot. Let's see. That's definitely not one. That could be okay. That could be okay, and that's not really good. Let's see. I'm gonna just go into the scene view and kind of figure out where I want my camera to be, and then just move the main camera there. So I want to have a shot that's somewhat of like a crossing where there's stuff coming from a bunch of different directions. I think maybe something kind of like this, and then maybe have it so that the player has to get over to here. I don't know. I haven't figured out the exact gameplay. We'll get it working first though. I'm gonna take the camera and move it right here with Control Shift F to just lock that camera in. This is the cool thing on the widescreen, by the way. There's a lot of talk about widescreen stuff. It's really weird when you're making games because like this aspect ratio is obviously not going to be normal. If I go to game and switch to standalone or like a 16 by 9, you can see more what the camera should actually look like. But when you go into the stretched out modes, and right now I've got it stretched out a little bit wider, it looks very strange there. So I figured it'd probably be good to get it in there. In fact, what I'm going to do is go to game view, and I'm just going to set up a 1920 by 1080. We go. Just create one like that and hit OK, and it'll just auto name it. So I'll set that as the resolution for the scene view. Okay, so now I got my camera here. I want to get rid of those other cameras first. See, I got the new one. Let's delete all of these 1, 2, and 3s, and let's save this as a new scene. I'll do File, Save As, and we'll go to Scenes, and let's just call this level 1. Be like our first level. All right. In level 1, we're going to need a player. So I think I was going to use the robot soldier for the player. Looks like there are quite a few different versions of it. Let's just zoom in and start dragging them out here and see what they look like. Okay. Oh, okay. They're just looks like just different colors. Let's see. Let's drag this. Oh, there we go. The pivot on them is a little bit off, but okay. A white one, a red one. Let's just bring them up here. And there's the green. What do we got here? Camo. I'm just looking at the names down here now. Blue and black. I wonder if the black one looks cool. Yeah, I'll just drop them all out here and then see which one kind of stands out and looks cool. That'd be the easiest way to pick. Hopefully I didn't take two of the same ones. Oh, I did. Camo 1. Wasn't there a camo 2? There it is. Camo 2. Get that guy out here too. And I'll just check and go to game view and see which one actually looks or stands out. Oh, the white one or the red one. Oh, these other guys are too close together. Let's see. Let's stretch them out or move them out. Separate that guy. Okay. All right. I'm leaning towards the white, the red, or the green. I'm just gonna ask in chat and see what everybody thinks. White, red, or the green one. Go ahead and pick. And if there's just a bunch of people saying one, then I'll go with that one. Otherwise, yeah, I'll just pick one at random. But definitely not the black one or these camo ones. I don't want the dude to blend in because, I mean, it's their player. I want them to be able to see him really well. So, give it a second. I already see a lot of people going with red and white. Okay, it looks like red's got the most. So I'll go with red, and then maybe we'll add white as player 2. I'll get rid of green, and then I'll just make like a red and a white player. That seems good. Why not? Those are the two popular ones. I'll just do them both. All right, so to do this or to make it work, we're gonna need some sort of a script to move this player around so the guy can actually move. So we'll go into the scripts folder that doesn't exist yet, and well, actually here we'll go to assets, create a scripts folder, and then we'll make a player script that'll allow our player to move around. Because right now, if I just hit play, you see, like I think the guys will. Oh, actually, they're not even gonna animate. They don't have any animations on them. You see, they just stand there and do absolutely nothing. Kind of boring. So we'll right click, hit create, hit folder, and it was down here in the project view, by the way, that I right click and type in scripts. I'm gonna switch keyboards real quick. I just remembered I have my super loud keyboard on, so let me switch it up and grab my silent recording keyboard instead, or silent or recording keyboard. It's a lot quieter, but it doesn't have the 10 key. It's kind of sad. Makes it hard. I wish I had a full size version that was just quiet, but also felt clicky. All right, so scripts. Now that I've got that typed out, I'll hit enter and create the actual folder. Then I'll right click in the scripts folder, create, and choose C# script. We're going to make a new script for our player that'll just move it around. So I'll type in the word player with a capital P and hit enter. When you're making these, by the way, if you make a class, generally, It just capitalize it and use Pascal case where you capitalize each word. It's the standard, it's kind of the default, and it's what I would highly recommend everybody use. I hit enter and Visual Studio is going to open up. Now, for anybody asking, you can use other editors. You don't have to use Visual Studio. You can use Writer or Visual Studio Code. I'm going to use Visual Studio just because it's what I have set up as the default right now for some tutorials. But anything works. So yeah, feel free to use whichever editor you want as you're going along. They're just looking at chat. Jason, please shout out about my channel, Unity 3D Teacher. Cool. Yeah, go check it out. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm gonna do a quick look. After this, I'll check it out and see. But yeah, anything that's learning about game dev, go check them out for sure. All right, let's go into our player. So what do we want to do for our player? We want to, well, read our input and then move in whatever direction we push. So reading input's pretty simple. What we can do is just read the inputs horizontal and vertical axes. This is just maps up to the controller inputs, the up, down, left, right, or WASD on a keyboard. And to do that, we'll read in a float for our horizontal and a float for our vertical. I'm going to zoom in a bunch here, though, so everybody can see. And then, oh, let's see. I'm making sure everything's going on okay in chat. Yeah, my thing's white. I know it's a little bit bright. I'm gonna zoom in a lot though, so it'll be hopefully easy to read. All right, let's get going with reading in our input. So first thing that we need to read in is the horizontal value, and we can read that with float horizontal, so just a floating point variable named horizontal, and we'll assign it to input.getAxis and give it the name horizontal. This part's case sensitive too. The part right here, if you get that wrong, it's not going to work at all. Here, you could mess up the casing of the name, and as long as you mess it up in every spot, or the spelling of the name, as long as you mess it up in every spot, it'll be fine. Here, it's actually mapped to something in the project settings, so it has to match exactly. All right, I'll copy this line, the horizontal, and paste it and do a vertical. And then I just have to replace this word with vertical. So this is just give me my horizontal and vertical inputs from a controller or WASD. And then I can just move my character with a really simple call to like transform.position plus equals, or I can do transform.translate and move it in a direction. So if I just, well, here, first let's turn this into a vector. So say vector3 movement equals new vector3. I'm going to make it really obvious. Oh, I just realized I'm like literally coding right underneath my head. Let me move my head way out of the way because it's super obnoxious just sitting there. Go way ahead, and I'm going to shrink me way, way, way down. Get nice and tiny. All right. There we go. Thank you, everybody. All right, looking better. So let's set up our movement again. So horizontal, this is going to be us moving on the left and right axis, or the x-axis. So this will be our horizontal. That's the x. And then for our y, this would be going up and down. And in a game like this, I mean, if I go back over to Unity, I don't want to go up and down. I want to go kind of up, down, or forward, back, left, and right, really. I'd call it up, down because I'm pushing up on the controller, but it's really kind of back and forward. So I want to go 0 on the y, so put in a 0 there. And then I need to put in my z value, which will just be the vertical. Put in a semicolon. This will just give me a vector or a 3-dimensional version of my movement values so that I can move my character with that. Then to move the character, I'll just say transform dot. Oh, here, we'll do it the easy way first. Position plus equals movement times time dot delta time. That should move our character in the right direction. Just jump over real quick, hit play. And, oh, actually, we need to attach the script first. So let's attach it to the, I'm going to do the red guy first. Just attach the player script. It's just because I clicked on him first. And then hit play, and let's see if it works. Hit play, and then I go in, and yep, that's A right here. D goes to the right. W goes up that way, and S goes that way. All right, so we're going to stop playing. And I want to, well, I guess first I'll just make it so you can move a little bit faster, and then I want to fix the orientation because it's going a little bit weird. Like I want up to actually go up on my screen, so that way when I'm running around, it doesn't feel weird and like dislocated. First, I'm going to add in a speed variable, so a speed modifier, and just do that by going. Oh, actually, here, let's add it right here. Right after time.delta time, I'll do times underscore speed. Escape, Alt Enter, and generate a field for it. And then I made a vector. I knew it was going to do that. We'll do a serialized field, replace the private keyword, and then make this a float. That way it shows up in the inspector and it's a variable that's just a number. I'm going to give it a default of 1 save it off, and then go back in, and then should get a variable now where we can adjust the speed a bit. So hit play and move around a little bit, and he's slow, and then we'll crank this up to like 5, and we move around, and he's nice and quick. All right, so I'm gonna stop playing. I'm gonna turn that back up to 5 because it resets when I stop playing if I change values while we're in play mode. And then, well, oh, here, let's just add it to the white guy too. Add it to the white character, and he's got a lower speed, so I see that they should both move at independent speeds, right? They go in the same direction, but totally different speeds. I mean, hey, maybe that's a gameplay mechanic. I don't know. That actually could be, I don't know, maybe some really terrible, interesting, weird gameplay mechanic. All right. All right. So let's get going through the next part. What else do we need to do? Oh, I wanted to fix the orientation of the movement because right now it's moving up and down these axes. So I hit W and it goes up and down that road, and I want it to go up and down the street instead. So what we could do is change our transform call from transform.position to doing a transform.translate, and then we give it our translation or our movement amount, and then we can give it a relative space. So right now it's moving, or it's moving relative to. Well, actually, right now we're moving it in world space because we're just setting the position. But if I use translate, it would move relative to its orientation. But what I can do is choose another transform to move it relative to that thing's orientation. So I'm going to make another object called direction, and yeah, that's it. I'll generate a field for it. Generate a variable. Oh, I don't know why it picked space. Oh, because it wants world space or local space. I'm gonna change that to transform and make that a serialized field. Actually, you know what? I probably won't make that a serialized field because I think this is gonna be like an object. What I'm thinking here, just for everybody following along and unsure if Jason's completely crazy. Got this camera here. Let me drag it out of the scene section. Got the camera here, and I'm just gonna set up an object that matches this thing's rotation, essentially. Gonna match that thing's rotation, and then I'm just gonna use that to move my characters, make it nice and easy. So yeah, let's just create a new game object. Actually, let's create a cube, and then I'm gonna call this direction. I'm gonna make it really obvious. Anybody who's not really sure what the heck I'm doing here. And then let's see, I want to set the direction of it to match this camera. So I'm gonna take this camera here, I'm gonna copy this component. I'm gonna paste the transform values here. And then I'm just gonna zero out the Z. And then I'm just gonna turn it relative to this object right here. I'll just turn off the renderer and the collider. Now we'll save that. Actually, here, watch. If I stretch it out on the X, there, I like that better because now I can see like facing that way. That's my up. All right, so I guess this is my up. All right, let's save and let's go back. Turn this back off and go back into the code. If I go back into the code, I just need to set up this direction object. Actually, I'm just going to assign it right now in the references instead of setting up some code to grab it. So I'll just assign it right here, and I'll assign it. Oh, actually, if I don't assign it right there, it would move separate. So here, let's try it out. Just hit play and make sure that this is working as I expect it to. Yep, there we go. So now I can just move that. Now, obviously, we could do the math to figure out the rotation, and I could go through that all and explain it, but I just kind of like doing it this way because it's a little bit neat. Because then at runtime, if I get bored, I can just do like, hey, look, plus 90. And now suddenly my orientation and my controls are completely different. And like the rotation of the world's nice and easy to adjust without me having to care anything about the camera. I can, kind of control it independently. Nice and easy. I don't know. It's kind of cool. Anyway, we'll save that off and let's continue on. So yeah, I probably should set up some code though to find this thing and not have to go reference it. So if I do this in multiple scenes or something, it's not a mess, but you get the idea hopefully. All right, so we got these characters, they're moving around. I don't know. Now, I guess before I put in enemies to shoot at, I gotta add some way to shoot, right? Thinking like it'd be cool to put in some enemies to shoot, but yeah, without that, yeah, without shooting them, like what are we gonna do? And if somebody was asking about the asset chunk, the asset packs, it was this Toon Apocalyptic City. Grabbed it from the asset store, and then this robot pack and this robot soldier. Those are the 3 that I was using right now. I liked them all. I think one of them was free, and the other 2 were like $10 or something. So they were a great deal. In fact, I grabbed maybe not on this account, but I grabbed on some other accounts another robot pack, and I was just planning on maybe like building out a bunch of stuff with them because I think they're really neat. All right. So let's see. Let's go through this again. We're gonna set up a way to shoot on our player. So I want the player to like turn and face whatever. Let's think about it. How do I want to control that? I could do it with thumbsticks. Like I could use the right thumbstick to control the direction that we're facing here, or use the mouse. I think I'm gonna go with mouse just because if I do decide to like share this or anybody wants to follow along, if they don't have two thumbsticks, it'd be kind of crappy because then you can't copy it. So I guess I'll go with like a mouse. So move around with WASD and then use the mouse to aim and just kind of like auto fire. I don't think we need to like click fire or anything. So I'm gonna set up like a an auto shooting system or a projectile launching system that just shoots out a bunch of bullets from these guys constantly, and then if it hits stuff, we'll deal with that after. We'll set up some things to hit and continue on. Then we'll give them some goals and stuff after that. But first, let's make them shoot because that's a little bit more fun. All right, so if we go into the player script, we could add it here, but I'm thinking that setting up the I'm not sure. I might want to set up the shooting system in a separate script. I might want to do it in here. I'm gonna err towards just adding it in a separate script and then maybe I'll mix it in and combine them, or maybe I'll go keep it that route as a separate script. I'm not really sure, but I'm just gonna start with a separate one. I'm also gonna delete all this stuff here, the unused stuff that we have there. So actually get rid of that and get rid of that. But right now this is really just kind of player movement. And I'm gonna leave it at that. And then let's make a player like a projectile shooter or projectile launcher or a weapon. I could just call it a gun. I'm gonna just call it a gun. That's pretty simple. Public class gun mono behavior. This will just be a gun component. It's going to shoot in the update if it can shoot. So let's add an update. And I will move this to its own file in a second for anybody who's worried about it. Don't worry, we're gonna move it. So what we do here is just implement our update. And I want to get rid of the private keyword just because I don't need it. And then here we'll say if can shoot. That's pretty much the entire logic of our gun. Then we just need to implement whether or not we can shoot and the method for shooting. So implementing can shoot is just hit Alt Enter and generate a field. Make this I'll get rid of that private keyword again because it's redundant. And here we'll just return back whether or not the current time is greater than or equal to our next shooting time. So say return time greater than or equal to next shoot time. Then we'll generate the next shoot time field and get rid of the private keyword again. So that's it. This will just be true if it's greater than our next shoot time. By default, that'll be 0. So we'll be able to shoot right away. And then anytime our time passes our next shoot time, we'll be able to shoot again. All right, so how do we shoot? Well, Alt Enter would generate a method for that, and get rid of the private keyword again. And then here, we could start by just instantiating a bullet. Just instantiate an object that flies forward. We're obviously going to need to fix that up a bit later, but let's just start that way. So we'll say instantiate, call it bullet prefab, and we'll do it at our where do we want to do this? Do we want to do this at our transform position or I think like a shooting point. So I'll call this shoot point. Like this is going to be a position that's kind of outside on the tip of our character instead of in the middle of them. And then I wanted to say for the rotation, we'll do, shoot point dot position. And then we'll do shoot point dot rotation for the direction. So that's the plan. Create a bullet prefab in our shoot point's position at its rotation. Don't have a shoot point yet, so we'll generate it. First, let's just generate the bullet prefab. Oops, nope. Alt Enter did the wrong thing. But Alt Enter, and I want to do generate field. There we go. That's the one. I hit generate method and it generated the wrong thing. Wasn't being careful enough. I'm going to change this to game object and make it a serialized field. Oops, not serializable, serialized field. And then I'm going to just copy this, paste it. We'll do transform. Oops, not track. Transform, and it's going to be the shoot point. There we go. So we'll spawn a bullet prefab at our shoot point in our shoot point's direction. All right, last up, we got to move this to its own file. So select the gun, Alt Enter, and move to gun.cs. Jump back over to Unity. And in here, I should be able to go add it to my 2 players. So I'll add my gun to the red player. So I'm just going to add it to that. I'm going to disable the white player for a moment and just work on this red one for a second. And then I want to set up the shoot point form because this is going to be that transform where I want the bullets to come out of. So I need to go down here and find the gun and click on it. So I've got the rifle here. Let's just, I'm going to grab the game view, make it side by side, hit play. Let's just watch how the thing animates. I want to see exactly where I want to set up the transform. Oh, there's no animation on this guy. That's right. Okay, let's just do it like this then. I'll stop playing. I'll right click on the actually I think I want to do it. Hmm. I'm gonna just make his body be the shoot point for now. And then after I set up the animations, I get it working. Because I want to make sure that the animations are working and figure it out before I set it up and then have to go back through and modify it again. So just set up his body as the shooting point. Or actually, here, let's do something funny. Let's make his head the shooting point. Let's shoot right from the top end of his head. Bullets will fly out of his head. Then I need a game object for our bullet prefab. So I'm going to go back to the scene, or I'm going to switch these side by side again, or not side by side, and then go in here and make a bullet. So go to game object and go to 3D object, and I'll just make a sphere for a bullet. Just give me a nice big bullet. Here, I'm going to go over to his head, Control Shift F, and snap it right on top. So that's obviously way too big for a bullet. So I'll hit E, or no, R, sorry, and scale that way down. There we go. Get it to something that's, I want it small, but I don't want it so small that I can't see. Seems like an okay size. That little dot right there. I'll start with that. We can make something that looks like a cooler bullet for now, but for now, just shoot out a bunch of shooting straight fire or straight white dots or something like kind of like a spray of bullets. All right. So the bullet. Well, let's see, where is it? Right here is named sphere. So rename it to bullet. And then we need to add a rigid body to it so that it can actually use the physics system and move and fly. Let me collapse these other things. You can see the rigid body component. So you got a rigid body there, and we'll set the collision detection to continuous since I expect this thing to fly relatively fast. I also probably don't want it to use gravity, so I'm going to uncheck the use gravity box. I think that's about it for that bullet setup. I can't think of anything else we'd want other than maybe a bullet script that makes it fly and do stuff and maybe damage things. But other than that, nothing else on the setup. So let's create a prefab out of it. So I got my assets folder here. Right click, create folder, and make a prefab. I'm gonna take the bullet and drop it right into the prefab folder, and now I've got a bullet prefab. All right, last up, let's go to the robot and assign this bullet to him. And then if I hit play, well, we should see, I expect to see that. Yeah, just nonstop bullets flying out everywhere. Obviously, the reason for it, go in here. We never make it so that can shoot would return false. So the solution to this is to just set our next shoot time based on some sort of a delay. Because right now it's just going to shoot. It's going to say, hey, can it shoot? Every frame it's going to say yes, and then it's going to shoot. So when we shoot, copy this line here. We paste right here. We say next shoot time equals time.time plus underscore delay, and then add a field for delay. Then I'll add a serialized field for that, or change it to a serialized field, I mean, and then give it like some default value. I'm going to go with a 0.2 so that I'm doing, that'd be 5 bullets a second. If it was 1, it'd be 1 bullet a second. 0.5, it'd be 2. 0.1, it'd be 10 bullets a second. Here it's 5 bullets a second. So if we go back into Unity and hit play, I should have a field for it now that shows up. There you go. So I can modify the delay. And I've got some bullets that, well, they spawn at my head, but they don't go flying, right? That's why they start moving when they stack up and spawn on top of each other. So starting to go. We got bullets spawning at least. We got a couple more things to do with it, but I want to take a quick drink and see what's going on in chat. Just see if there was anything I missed that was super important. It's hard for my chat's way off to the side, so it's a little hard for me to see. In fact, maybe I should just move that over. That would make it easier. On the other side of the screen, I could see it easier and I could tell what's going on there. All right. Yeah, if anybody's got any questions too, feel free to ask them in chat. I'll try to keep an eye on them, but hard for me to keep up again while I'm writing code and showing things at the same time. Taking one more drink. Oh, a little bit thirsty there. All the talking nonstop. All right, so let's get going back into spawning or making these bullets actually fly out. Because right now the bullets they're spawning, but they're just kind of sitting still. So I want to change that up and make them so they fly out forward in the direction that I'm facing. So I'll stop playing, and we'll go into our gun, and in here we have a couple options here. So we could either make it so that we access our rigid body on the bullet and make that kind of fly forward or something, or I can change it up and make a bullet script that moves the bullet along. I'm trying to think of which one I want to do here. I mean, it's kind of up in the air. I think I'll just set the velocity here. I think that makes the most sense because I'm thinking that my bullets probably don't need too much. I mean, they really need anything. Hmm. Yeah, let's just do it here. Sorry, I'm just kind of thinking in my head and trying to figure out what I want to do. So I'm gonna say var bullet equals instantiate our bullet prefab, and then we'll say bullet dot get component rigid body. And if I may end up just moving this around. There's chat in there already about making a script. I think I may end up making a script, but I'm just gonna start coding and then go from there. I feel like sometimes I get stuck like just thinking and thinking too long and not writing code, and then I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, and I go back and forth. And if I just write it, then the solution becomes obvious. I can kind of fall right into it and jump into it as long as I know what my options are. So I want to get the rigid body component, and then on it I want to set the velocity to our, I guess, our forward direction um times some movement speed, so our shoot speed. So it'd be like our direction times move speed, or let's call it bullet speed. Generate a field for that, and that's going to give me the wrong type. We'll make it a float and make it a serialized field. Yeah, now as I do that, the more I write this in here, I think like, oh yeah, this feels like this is on a prefab. This should not be set here, but maybe it does. Maybe it's a bolt launch speed and it makes sense. And then direction. So my direction, I'm thinking, is going to be a vector 3, and that's going to be something that goes like towards the mouse. So remember I said I wanted to shoot towards the mouse so that we can control and like run around but aim towards the mouse. I think that's what I'm going to do now. I'll set up the direction to get the direction of the mouse, and we'll launch it out in that direction by setting its velocity. So go back into the code here, and then let's see. Oh, this needs to be an equals, not a star. So it's equal to the direction times the bullet speed. So to get the direction, we'll just read that in the update. So just say underscore direction equals, and then, well, we need the point where the mouse is and our player's transform point. So we're gonna need to do a raycast first. So we'll say if physics dot raycast, and then we need to use the camera dot main dot screen point to ray. Obviously, we should cache the camera dot main because it uses the call to get it by the tag. But what's going on there? Um, I thought I saw something going on in chat. Okay, so we'll get the screen point to the ray, and the point that we want to use is the mouse's input position, or input mouse position. So the input dot mouse position. So if we're able to hit something by doing a ray into it with the mouse position, and then we want to use a distance of, I'm gonna say mathf dot infinity because I don't care. And then we need well, where's the hit info one? Gotta go back. I always get these mixed up. There's so many overloads, 16 of them. I'm sure somebody remembers them all, but it's certainly not me. Then need a second parameter here that's var um sorry, not var, it's out var hit. So this is our raycast hit. In fact, I'll name it raycast hit. So if we get a hit from our ray, it'll go into our raycast hit, and we do it with an infinity distance check. So if we actually hit something, then we'll set the direction. So I'll take the direction here, and the direction is going to be what would be our, what is it? Our hit point minus our current transform point, or our shooting point, really, which I guess would be our shoot point position. So here we'd use raycast hit dot point minus, and we'll use our shoot point dot position. Now the one problem with this though is that our raycast hit might be up above or down below. So I expect this to kind of shoot up above or down below. Let's save real quick and double check and make sure that I didn't reverse my math. Half the time I do these, I end up reversing them just because, I don't know, it happens every time. All right, let's see. Get in here and wait, let's see. Oh, I'm not setting the velocity. Am I not setting the velocity? What's going on here? So we're getting the direction. Actually, here, let's see if the direction's not getting set. I'm gonna hit play, and I'm gonna go to debug mode, and let's see what direction is. Direction is not setting. Okay, what is going on here? Let's save. We'll do a build. We got a out to. Is the camera set up right? Is there? Wait, let me check the errors. Nothing in the error log. Our main camera is set up as main camera. Everything is saved. Let me make sure this is all saved. Control Shift B. We do a full build. If this doesn't work, actually here, let's just add a breakpoint and debug. So hit F5. We'll go into debug mode. Enable debugging. New thing in the latest Unity versions. Got to hit that first, or it pops up the second you start debugging. All right, we'll hit play and let's see. Why is the Oh, I know what's happening. There's no colliders. So I'm trying to do a raycast here into the scene, and I bet there are no colliders on any of the environment. Let's check it out. We go down here. Let's go to the scene view. Let's click on the ground, and yep, just renderers. That's the problem. Okay, not an issue at all. So we can fix that up. I'll just select all of the ground pieces right here. Bam. Actually, let's just do this. I don't really care too much about anything in here performance-wise being an issue. So if I just search for mesh renderer and select them all, and other than the player might be a little bit weird, I'm just going to add a mesh collider. Let's see if that works. If that's enough. I may have to undo that for this player, though. I'm a little bit concerned that I may have just loaded him up with a bunch of colliders that I didn't want. Oh, switch out of debug mode, too. Okay, no, it didn't, because it was skinned mesh render. Whew, that's right. All right, we hit play, and let's try that out. A collider definitely help, I think. All right, we play. Oh, now I'm hitting the breakpoint. So it stopped. It didn't do anything because I actually hit my breakpoint. I'm getting a direction. Oh, I realized something else. These bullets are shooting out really, really fast. Like they're going in the right direction, kind of. And they are going down, it looks like, maybe. One of them bounced. But the other issue here, let's see, let's go back into that gun, is that my direction isn't being normalized. So my direction has a Y component, so it's going down, it looks like, because I'm shooting from my head. That makes sense, towards the ground. But it also isn't normalized, so it has the distance in it. So let's just go look at it real quick. I'll show you what I mean. In fact, if I slow down the speed on this weapon, put that to 1, might see it a little bit better. So if I move it in close, look at how the bullets kind of fall relatively slow and down to the ground. If I move it out far, they move faster. But the reason for it, if I go to debug mode, is that this direction value here is the amount that I'm moving. And look, it's got 23 on the Z there and like 13 on the X. The values are really large. That value needs to be normalized so that the total magnitude goes down to 1. So to change that, we just do this. We can do add some parentheses around here and do dot normalize. What that does is really makes a new vector 3 out of these and then normalizes it. I could also do vector 3 dot normalize and pass that value in. Or I could do here, let's do it this way. Show you the other way. Call the normalize method on the vector. That'll do it too. All right, so stop playing. That'll fix it. But I want to get rid of the Y part too, because I don't like having it go up and down. I want to have it just shoot from my head or something right onto there. Hopefully I didn't block too much with my camera there. Trying to keep not show anything down there in the bottom. As for performance on mesh colliders, they can be. I would say you don't want to have too many, but in this case, I'm never gonna hit any kind of limit with this game, so it's not a performance issue here. If we had big giant meshes and lots of stuff going on, sure. Here we don't, so not a problem. Okay, so let's get rid of the Y component. So the direction equals that, and it's normalized here. But I want to get rid of the Y completely. So after I normalize it, I'll say direction equals new vector 3, and we'll give it direction.x, and then 0 for the Y, and direction.z, not Y. There we go. That'll get rid of it, so now it's nice and flat. Save that off. That should make it shoot out bullets nice and flat at the same speed no matter what direction. Double check that. Cool. Looks good. And somebody was asking if the mouse position works with the PlayStation controllers. Definitely not. to do PlayStation controllers, we just need to read in another axis. I think it's like comes in as like axis 4 and 5 or 5 and 6 or something like that. It comes in as some weird axes. Um, so you just got to figure out which one they are, and it depends on the controller too. Different controllers will come in as a different one. You got to set it up, and then you just read that, and then you could aim in that direction. And in that case, instead of doing your direction with this, you just get the direction by setting it as the horizontal and verticals that you read from the controller. All right, so we got our direction here. What did I want to do next? Oh, I lost my train of thought for a second. So we're shooting out bullets, and oh, we want to. Well, I want to speed him up real quick first, and then I want to make him face that direction. I want to make him turn so that he doesn't look ridiculous, and then let's make him animate. So actually, let's make him turn, and then we'll speed up the bullets because that's in the inspector. All right, so making him turn is relatively simple. If we get a direction, if we're facing somewhere, we can just make his forward direction be that. To do that, we just say transform.forward equals underscore direction and go back into Unity. How's it? Yep. Pretty tough, right? It's always funny when you do those ones. All right, so save. And I want to go in here and crank this bullet speed up to I'm going to go like a 13. Something that's nice and quick. And hit play. All right, he's facing the right way, and bullets shoot out of his head. Damn, look at that. I don't know what kind of weird alien dude shoots bullets out of his head, but get the idea. All right, I had to take a drink. All right, so now we got a couple things to do here. One is set up some enemies to shoot and hit, and the other is figure out a way to make these bullets stop spamming real quick. So, do you guys want to do enemy setup and make an enemy robot, do an animation first, or set up a quick pooling system for the bullets? I'm gonna wait and see whichever one gets the first couple answers in chat, and then we'll go with that. Just why not? I have a hard time picking which one to do. So either animating the player, pooling, or setting up an enemy. And this also gives me a second to catch my breath and take a drink and read the chat. Oh. Bullet pulling, bullet pulling, bullet pulling. Okay. Animating. Okay. Lots on the pooling. Don't worry. It's really quick for anybody who wanted to see animation or anything else. We can set up pooling extremely quickly when we want to do it for something like this. So, well, first, let's talk real quick about what pooling is. So let me just hit play and show it real quick so I can explain it, and then we'll make some enemies and stuff. So when you shoot out like a ton of bullets like this, and you just keep shooting them out, eventually they'll stack up forever. Right? Like you can see my bullets kind of going and flying and launching into stuff, and they'll last forever. You can, however, destroy them, so you can make it so they destroy themselves after a little while. The problem that you're going to run into though is that if you keep creating and destroying things over and over and over, eventually you start to hit performance problems. So we're just going to make a really simple, actually, yeah, let's just make a really simple pooling system that reuses the bullets. So I'm going to go into our gun. And then when we shoot a bullet, instead of instantiating a bullet, I'm just going to make a method called like get bullet. And then in there, we'll pool up bullets. So we'll say bullet equals get bullet. And let's see, what do I want to do? Actually, I don't need any of that. I don't need any of that stuff. So I'm going to cut all that, put it on my clipboard, hit Alt Enter, and generate the method for it. And then I want to get rid of that private keyword, make this game object again, and then we'll add the instantiate method here. So why did I add the instantiate method? It's because I might need to create a new bullet. When we create a pooling system, what we'll do is spawn up the objects, and then whenever we're done with them, we'll just disable them, and then we can reuse them later on. But if we don't have any available, we have to create new ones. So I'm going to say if pool dot count is equal to 0, and I'll say add some braces, and I'll say var bullet equals instantiate that, and we'll return the bullet. And then add in an ending brace. Now the pool doesn't exist. And my pool is going to be a collection of these game objects or of these bullets. I'm just going to use a queue because it's a really simple way to store a collection of things in an order. And I feel like it makes sense to keep them in order. That way I get to see them cycle through when they're being used. So I'm going to create a pool. Just going to double click on it. I'm going to type it right up here, and then I'll move it up to the top in a second. So put Q, just like that. I gotta hit escape and hit Alt Enter. Add the using system.collections.generic. And then we add in the, oops, not that, the type, and we give it game object. And then I'll name it pool. We'll assign it to a new queue of game objects. And now we have this collection of, well, of game objects that we can grab things from. There's nothing in it yet though. So what we want to do now is if we had none, we'll return back a new one. If we have something in it though, we'll just return back that one. So in fact, I'm going to change this up a little bit. So I'll say if the count is greater than 0, then return pool.dq. What that'll do is it'll take the first one from the queue or from the list if there is one. If there isn't one, then I'll do this code here and I'll just create a new one and return that. In fact, I could probably just say, hey, just return that new bullet. Whoops, gotta get rid of the equals. So that'll reuse them if I put them into the pool, but I need to actually make it so that they go into the pool. So I need to set up a way to, I guess, associate these bullets with our gun so that when they get disabled, they go back into here. So let's do a I want to do this. I have like a million different ways I could create a pooling system here. Trying to decide on which one I want to go for. Um hmm, hmm. Oh, no. I think. I just trying to think this through and decide. So I think what I'll do is create um I'll just assign something to them to tell them to re-add themselves to the pool. I was thinking about just making an event that fires off, but I feel like it's kind of overcomplicating it for something so simple. So I think what I'll do here is say var bullet equals instantiate the bullet prefab, and then I'm going to make that bullet script. Let's take a public class bullet and make it a mono behavior. Let's go way down here, zoom in, and then here what I want to do is I want to make it so that when it collides with something, it will disable itself and re-add itself back into the queue. So I'll say on collision enter, and then I'm going to get rid of the private keyword. And for now, I'm just going to assume collision with anything means I should disable myself. So on collision enter, I'll say game object dot set active to false, and I want to tell myself to go back into the queue. So I'll say that hey, go back into the guns queue or gun dot re-add to queue. I don't have a gun reference yet, so I guess I'll just start typing it out. Let's add in a gun here, the gun underscore gun, and then I'll say underscore gun dot add to pool, and we'll add in this. We're gonna pass in our bullet object to re-add it to our gun. I just need a way to assign our gun, so say public void set gun, and we'll say gun gun. And then here I'm going to use an expression body method just because I feel like it. So I'll set it like this with a equals greater than underscore gun equals gun. So here we'll set it and just assign it once. I could have, of course, just made this a public property or something too, but I like making it a little bit more explicit that we're just setting this private thing that probably should only ever be set once. It shouldn't ever get reassigned, but I'm not adding in that extra logic, so I'm kind of going halfway there. All right, we'll add it to the pool by generating the add to pool method. And then, oops, I hit Alt Enter and Enter. Did it generate? Yep. Go hit F12 to go to it. And then here we just say pool.enqueue. And then we pass in our bullet. Now, the pool right now is of type game object, so I'm going to change it. I'm going to make it be bullets only. I'll take bullet here, copy that, and we'll paste it here, paste it here, paste it here. And I also need to paste it where my prefab is. Change all of these game object references to bullet. I'm going to zoom out real quick. Scroll down, and I'm going to move this bullet to its own file. Move bullet to its own file. All right. So we've got a bullet being instantiated here, and it goes flying off. And I think that's I don't actually. Oh no, I need to set the gun right. So say bullet dot set gun, and we'll pass in this gun. So now our gun is assigned to the bullet, and then we'll return the bullet. So whenever we create a bullet the first time, we'll instantiate it, we'll set its gun and return it. Whenever we get one again, we'll pull it out of the queue, leave it deactivated, and then return it. That seems like a bad idea. So let's say bullet, or here, let's get the bullet. say var bullet equals that, and we'll say bullet dot game object dot did type that right. Set active to true, and then return bullet. All right, I'm gonna get rid of that spacing there, and then we'll make this an else, just so that I can use the same variable name because I don't want to rename it. And zoom in real quick. So that's what we'll do essentially. So we'll get a bullet by checking to see if there's one there. If there is, we'll grab it and set it to active, and then return it. Otherwise, we'll spawn it. Now, the other thing that I'm doing though is like here we're getting the bullet, we're setting the velocity, but I also need to get it at the right position. So I need to make sure that I move it to the right spot. I don't really care about the rotation because it's a circle. So I'll just say bullet.transform.position equals launch. What did I call it? Shoot point. Shoot point dot position. I'm gonna set the rotation too, just even though I said I don't care about it, because if I change this to a cylinder or an arrow or a magic dart or something else weird, it's gonna matter. So I'll copy it, paste it, and just change this to rotation. A lot easier for me to do it now than for me to remember why it doesn't work, tomorrow or the next day. All right, let's move this pool up to the top. So cut it, get rid of those spaces, go up to the top, and put it right here. And I'm gonna move this other private float down here too. Keep all the things nice and neat and organized. And then get rid of that extra using statement. Collapse out this class. Oh, that was it. There's nothing else in here. For some reason, I was thinking there was another class in here. Okay, I'm gonna change this to say public just so that everybody knows it means the same thing. And I think I am done with that. So we should have a working pooling system if I assign a bullet script to my bullet and reattach it, I think. Let's try it out and see if I'm wrong. I definitely could have missed something there. We go to our bullet and we attach the bullet script, and then go to overrides, and right off the screen, click apply all. That'll update our prefab and go right into here. And I need to reassign the bullet because it got changed. Excuse me, it's because the type got changed, by the way. Go to prefab, drop that in, save, hit play, and let's see if the magic works. We should hit things and see our bullets disappear and reappear. So bullets they hit things. You see how they're getting disabled and re-enabled there? They're getting reused and they're essentially pooled. We've got a pooling system that auto grows for our bullet shooting. Nice and simple. We could of course build like a crazy generic system that does all kinds of stuff, goes even further, but I don't think that there's a need for it yet. So just keep going from here. All right, next up. Let's see if we could do. I don't know. Do I want to do? I think I want to do animation real quick and then an enemy, so that he looks kind of cooler and then goes in. No, let's add an enemy. The enemies have animations already set up, so my character will look a little bit goofy, but the dudes that I'm shooting at, I think, will look cool. All right, so if we go into our robot soldier, the robot pack here. Let's see, what do we got? Capsule robot, a robot 2, and a robot Marvin. I don't know which one to do. Okay, Marvin is this weird looking little dude. Let me see if I can pop this out and show everybody, and then maybe we'll just do a quick so is this Marvin dude as the first one, or this cute robot dude that kind of looks like the dude back there, and then whatever this capsule one is. What's this guy look like? This guy kind of looks like that too. Interesting. So yeah, I don't know. What do you guys want to do? Which one? Go ahead and pick. Should we do the cute robot, the capsule one, or the Marvin? Or I guess, yeah, capsule 2 or Marvin. I don't know. Which one do you guys want to do? We'll set it up and make that our first bad guy that we'll start blasting. Start shooting cute things, right? Why not? And I'll take a drink while everybody decides which one you guys want to do. By the way, thanks everybody for hanging out and watching. It's a lot of fun. Surprised how many people are in here. It's really cool. Oh, and don't forget to hit the like button and share and all that stuff if you haven't done that. Really appreciate it. It's always good stuff. All right, so I see a lot of Marvin. Yeah, a lot of Marvin. All right, so I think we'll go with Marvin. See, which one was he? Marvin is okay. This interesting little dude. I'm gonna go with a blue one since our character right now is red, or maybe I'll switch to a red and make the character white. So we can always add them all though. They're really, I think, gonna be pretty easy to put in. So let's see. I got this Marvin blue in here. I'm gonna go to the game view. Oh yeah, I could totally see him. Totally ready to kill that guy. All right, so we got Marvin here. Let's see if he has some animation. I'm gonna go into his thought this thing had animations. I could be wrong. The meshes, Marvin, prefabs, nothing, 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 nothing. Okay. Let's see if we got some animations. Let's see. Basic motions pack. Let's grab that. I'm just gonna import in the this basic motions free pack from the asset store. You can use on these humanoids. You could use just about any animation. So just grabbing in these to pull them in. You could also go into Mixamo. It's another great place for setting up animations. But for now, I think I'll just use these ones. So I'm gonna take one of these animations. Go find them. There we go. Thank you, Kevin, for creating this pack. And I'm just gonna assign some of these animations to this character. So I think I'll take actually what do I need here? Probably just a walk, right? I probably don't need a an idle. Start him off just walking. So I'm gonna make an animator controller for Marvin, and then we'll add a walk animation to him and see if we can get it working real quick. So I'm gonna go in, right click, create a new folder, and name it animation. Then in the animation folder, we'll right click and create a new animator controller and name it Marvin. And then we'll hit enter and open that animator controller up. And if you hold control and use the mouse wheel, you can go in and out. And then you can hold, is it alt and left click to drag around. Always get them mixed up, but yeah, control, zoom, or actually no control, just mouse wheel zoom, I guess. And then alt to drag around. All right, so let's see. Let's update this or create this animator controller, make it actually do something. Ah, hitting the wrong button, hit the Windows key there. Okay. So I'm going to go into my animations and I'm just going to take a walk animation and drop it right in here. This has a walk and then there's a walk with root motion. I'm going to delete the root motion version and just leave that in here. We'll go to our scene view, go to Marvin and assign this animator controller to him. And let's hit play. There we go. He's animating, playing the walk animation. Pretty simple, right? It's really cool, like how amazing, like easy it is. Like you don't have to have an animator go in and animate things for you anymore. You just kind of have them retarget and work. Kind of blows my mind. All right, so we got a character now that will walk and be able to, I guess, walk towards the bad guy. Right. I'm gonna set up a way to kill him real quick, and then I'll make him walk towards our player. This is the bad guy. I guess that makes us the bad guy, but whatever. Let's set up a way to kill him, and then make him walk to us. So let's see. To kill him, we're going to need a collider first. So I'm going to add a capsule collider. Capsule collider is pretty common for moving characters too, just because it makes it easy for them to move around and get over things. So we'll make it, well, the center. This guy's really short, so making it 2 meters high. Well, I'm just going to go with 2 meters high and one there. Doesn't really matter. They're just colliders up above because we can't aim up and down. So I think it's probably better that way. I'll just keep it 2 and 1. I think I'm going to stick with that for all of the capsule colliders here. I'll save, but I also need a nav mesh agent because I want this dude to be able to walk towards my player. I'm going to add a nav mesh agent to him. And then I want to add in a script so that we can move the guy. So let's go into our scripts folder and let's add an enemy script. So go to create C# script and choose enemy. There we go. And then let's just assign it to Mr. Marvin here. So take enemy and drop it right on. All right, save all that off, and now I've got a Marvin enemy that's somewhat ready to go. It's not like I should be able to shoot it and the bullets will bounce off of it. That's about it. Oh, thank you, Mr. Kayamati. All right, it's really hard to see it way over there. Let's see. So I'm shooting and my bullets aren't hitting. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pause, or not really pause. I clicked over to the edge, go into the scene view, and look here, and you can see the reason that it's not hitting is just because I'm shooting from too high. So the bullets are going over this guy's head. If I go expand out the capsule collider, I can't actually hit him. It's just because the shooting point is too high there. So let's set up an animation real quick on this guy too, so that he can shoot and have his gun in the right spot. So I'm gonna go back to the animation folder, right click, hit create, and we'll create another animator controller, name it player. And then I'm going to assign it to the player. So I'll take this robot guy, drop it in on as his animator, double click on it, and then go into that animations folder again. And here I'm thinking I don't know exactly. I don't know if there's an animation in here that's going to work perfect for it. So let's try run. I may have to go somewhere else and grab an animation where he's kind of standing there running with a gun or something. So go into the scene view. Let's hit play. Just see what he does in that animation real quick. Okay. Well, doesn't really help me, but I'm just gonna shoot from here. Let's pause and let's select the gun here. But what I think I want to do is just shoot from this point here at the end of the gun. So I'm just gonna figure out where that is and shoot from that. So it'll either be down here or kind of up in the middle of the air. Not gonna be a big deal because once I get the animation working, so he's holding it right there at the waist. Actually, why don't I just go get an animation where he's holding it at the waist? Let's find a shooting animation. So I'm gonna go to the asset store. Or here, let's just look for shooting, hit asset store. There's no real reason to wait. Shooting animation. Character at shooting. Let's see. Let's see if there's a free one first. Oh. Character shooting. Character shooting. Oh, okay. Now, here, let's see if we can grab one on Mixamo. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull it up on another tab and I'll drag it over. If anybody who hasn't seen Mixamo, by the way, it's a now free site. I don't know who made it initially, but it was eventually bought by Adobe, and then I think they were going to do something with it, and they decided to just open source it, or not open source it, but make it free and available. So with it, you can upload a character. So here we go. Upload. Need to find this and get it in the right spot. Robot soldier here. Okay, and then I will let's drag it over here. You can get an idea of what it looks like. So here's the way it works. So you upload a character, and then you can go through the animations here, and you can just pick animations and then download them to match. So I'm gonna take like a shoot, run, or just search right here for shooting and running, and I should be able to find like a some sort of a shooting pack. I think something like this might work. So if I click on it, I can actually preview it in here. Let's do in place. I don't want him actually moving. And I mean, it's not perfect. Let's see. I can adjust it a little bit. Get these hands in. There we go. I think it looks a little bit better. And then I can just download it. So I'll just hit download, and I'll choose FBX for Unity. That's the one thing people miss a lot. Choose FBX for Unity. I don't need the skin. The skin is like the textures and stuff. I don't need any of that. And then I can just hit download. So I'm gonna click over here. I'm just gonna move it off here, download it, and put it into a folder real quick. I'll drop it into our animation folder. Here to get to there, I'm just gonna go to animation, right click, hit show in Explorer, find my folder, and then I'm gonna just paste my save right into it. I save, and it should just appear here in a second. So now when I click in, there we go. So all I did there was just copy that, save that file into this folder essentially. All right, let's go back into Unity, or I guess not back into Unity. Let's go into assigning this animation to him. So I've got the animation set up. Let's go to the animator. I'm going to delete this motion here, this default. Actually, let's not delete it. Let's rename it to run. So click on it, name it run, and then just change out the motion. So here it has that motion field. I can just assign the other motion here, the shoot rifle one. Drag that in, save, hit play, and I should see him now running with his shooting. Oh, nope. He's not. Let's see. Let's go check this out. So the shoot rifle animation should be targeting our robot soldier. Oh, let's go to the rig and let's choose no avatar. Let's choose copy from other avatar, and I need to choose my robot soldier. Oops. There we go. So I picked that off screen. So here, let me drag that over. So I picked the robot soldier avatar. The reason for that, by the way, if I click on the robot soldier, let me just go show you real quick. So the robot soldier object, if I pick his mesh and select it, you'll see that his rig is set to humanoid and it creates an avatar. And when I'm remapping or copying an animation and assigning an animation to him, I need to actually set it to humanoid and I need to map it to that avatar definition. So now if I hit play, I didn't miss anything else. He should start. There we go. Now he's animating and shooting. There we go. Look at that. Pretty cool. Not exactly what I want because he's a little bit offset, but he is kind of shooting in the right direction. He's not constantly animating though. He animated once too, so that's kind of messed up. So let's fix that real quick, and then let's fix the offset and assign the stupid bullet to him, or assign the point to it. All right, so go to the run animation. I'm just gonna not double click on it. I'm gonna go find it down here, and then go to the animation tab, and we just need to make this loop. So I'll check the loop box, and if I hit play, You can see that now it's looping here. And by the way, if you look here, you can see that little offset in his body. So one option I have, see if I can just kind of, oops, not that one. Where is it at? There's a rotation here. Why did it stop playing? Keep playing, keep playing. So one thing I could do is that, and I think I might just do that. Just rotate the orientation of his body. His feet are gonna look a little bit weird, but I want his gun kind of aimed towards his forward. I want his gun kind of aimed towards that blue arrow. So I think I'm just gonna turn it negative 30 degrees there and apply. Now if I go hit play, I also hit loop time there. So now I expect it to be he's aimed more in the direction that my bullets are flying, or more in the direction that I'm shooting towards at least. And yeah, I think it's not perfect, but it's definitely looking a little bit better. Am I able to hit that thing at least? Almost. Oh, yeah, that's right. I haven't set up my shoot point. So let's fix the shooting point now. All that set up, and I still haven't done the shooting point. So creating a shooting point, pretty simple. I'm going to right click on my rifle. I'm going to hit create empty. I'm going to rename this to shoot point. And I don't actually notice that if I make it a child of my rifle, let's see. If I make it a child of my rifle and I put it right out here, right at the point where I would want it to show up, and then let's add a icon to it. Let's hit play and see what happens. Go into the scene view and look at the shooting point. It's nowhere near there because it actually just stays kind of at that base area. It doesn't follow the animation. The part that animates is this part underneath the hips. It's the actual rig. So what I need to do is find the part under here that's matched up with that. And if I look at it and imagine just looking at the body hierarchy, it's going to be somewhere on the right, under the right shoulder. Probably makes sense because it's going to be down here and attached to that hand. So you just keep expanding, and I can even hold Alt and just click and expand all the way, and then just drag down here and find like the hand. So here I can find the area of the hand. Now sometimes, let's see, where is the one for the rifle? Sometimes there's, oh wait, that's odd. Interesting. Yeah, sometimes there's a separate gun one here too. I was getting myself a little bit mixed up there, but all I need to do really is take my shooting point, make it a child of the hand here, and then let's just reset the position. And then just kind of move it out here, somewhere like that, so that it's kind of out in the front, but attached to my hand, and it's going to rotate with my hand. Another option that I have, by the way, if I don't want to make it really associated with my gun, is to just kind of spawn it right out in front of the character. But if I really want it to line up with the gun, lining it up with that hand is probably going to be the best option. I don't see a bone for the actual gun in here. So I'm going to stop playing. I'm going to take the shoot point, make it just a child of that hand, and then I'm just going to hit play again. Now that it's a child of that hand and it's in that same position, we go into the scene view, expect to see it right around that same position. Now I could, of course, line it up perfectly and fix it, but I don't care enough to really get it perfect. And as I'm looking at it, I'm thinking that it's still a little bit high. So what I'm probably going to do is pause and pull it down to somewhere around here so that it's actually a little bit below the gun. Let's try that and see if that actually hits the enemy. Let's see, does it hit him? Still a little bit off. Hold on, let me get this bullet shot right. What happens when you don't pre-do your stuff? Oh, yeah, that's still way too high. So, oh, sorry, I'm being stupid. I didn't assign the shoot point. Let's go select the robot and let's go assign the shoot point. I'm still shooting out of the head. Bam, now it hits. Okay, stop that. Let me go assign the shoot point while we're not running. There we go, and save. And now I think that it's probably going to be fine. It might be a little bit too high. I'll double check real quick to see if it's going to work or not. Yep, it looks like it's hitting, but I think I'm going to move it down just a tiny bit too. So here, I'll hit play. I'm going to let it go, and here's how I move it when it's kind of animating. So if I'm in here and I just want to drop that shooting point down a little bit, I'll select the shoot point and just take that and drag it down just a little so that it's at the height that I want, and then copy the transform component, stop playing, right click, and paste the value. Now it's dropped down to that lower value. All right, so now I got him shooting. And I think that, yeah, that's it, right? So he's shooting. The enemy should be able to start taking hits soon, but I don't think there's any reason to kill him yet. So let's make him run after me, and then I'll make it so I can actually kill the guy. All right, so we'll set up an enemy. Let's go over to the enemy. Just hitting left a bunch of times till everything collapses. We'll go select Marvin, and we added a nav mesh agent to him, but I haven't actually set up any navigation. So there's no way for him to go to the player. Watch, I'll show you what I mean by that too. If I go into my enemy and I just go into the start method, because right now there's nothing in here. Say in start, I want to say var player equals find object type player. I'll just find the only player that's out there right now. And I'll say get component nav mesh agent. And get that typed out right. Now I got to hit Alt Enter and find it. So I hit using UnityEngine.ai. So get the nav mesh agent, and we'll set the destination to our player's point, or player.transform.position. Now, what this would do is ideally make our character move to the player once. Right at the start, it would say, hey, move to him right then. Now, if I want it to happen every frame, I could just take this, cut it, and paste it in an update. I should probably cache this and make it not slow, but I'm not going to do it yet. I'm just going to leave it because it's not going to make any difference. There's no reason to optimize it just yet. So we'll hit play, and we'll watch the error message. No real reason to optimize seeing an error message, right? Then we go over here and look at these. Well, I got a bunch of different. These are messages about me adding colliders. Whoops, don't worry about those. The one that we care about is this. Not that. Where's the message I care about? This one right here. Set destination. The one that we're getting thousands of. Let's hit clear. Now you'll see it. This one's the one I care about. So it says set destination can only be called on an active agent that has been placed on a nav mesh. What that means is I need to bake my nav mesh so the character can move and know where to navigate. So go to window, and I believe it's under AI now, and then navigation, which brings up the navigation window. Go to bake, and since I've created colliders, I should just be able to hit bake and then sit back for half a second and watch it bake. Let's see. Or not. It's not working. Okay, let's clear the errors real quick and hit bake again. Oh, yeah, why is it not? Interesting. I'm not sure why it's not baking for me now. Okay. Oh, I do know. I know it is baking. Yeah, another thing. Again, happens all the time. So for an object to be counted in navigation, watch this. You got to go to object. There's a navigation static option. And because this environment is set up to be optimized just for rendering, it's not checked. And it's not going to be checked on most things. So what I need to do, go select my props and my road and all of these pieces. I'm just going to select the whole little area of all of them. And then we'll go to inspector, and I'm going to go click on this stat. Actually, here, if I go to navigation, let's see. I can't see it in object, but if I go to the inspector and if I just drag this over, let's see. Drag this over here, you can see the static button, and I can click on it, and there's a navigation static option. I'm just going to click on that and hit yes, change children, so that it updates everything, including all of its children. It's basically going to set that navigation static option. Now, if I go to the navigation tab, go to bake and hit bake. There we go. I got my 1 second delay and a big giant blue area. So all that blue area means those are spots where the navigation works, or where navigation is happening. Sometimes it kind of cuts through things, and you'll see that it kind of cuts through this mesh right here. There is navigation across there, so it's kind of underneath. And setting up perfect navigation meshes takes a little bit of work and some effort, and you have to set up your colliders right to make it work perfect. But this is going to be perfect enough. It's going to work. So if I hit play, I should see that the character moves there. There we go. Yep. And he moves right to me. But if I move away, yep, he follows me. Looking good. So now he's chasing after me, and I just want to make him dead. So we'll stop playing, and let's go fix this rigid body on the, or this, what is it? The mesh collider on the rigid body of the bullet. I think what happened is it got a mesh collider, and it needs a sphere collider. Oh, actually, I think it got a mesh collider because I added it when I added it to everything. So I'm going to remove the mesh collider from the bullet, and then go to overrides and apply all, which is off screen. But hopefully that gets rid of that message and stops spamming the console there, because I think that's kind of obnoxious. There we go. Now it's just the editor error saying that something broke in the editor. That's been happening forever. All right, so we'll go into our enemy now, and let's make him die when he gets hit with a bullet, right? Or should we make the bullet kill the enemy? I'm thinking I want to do that. So when the bullet hits the enemy, if it hits an enemy, I'll say, hey, enemy, take damage, and then the enemy can either blow up or Yeah, or just maybe reduce its health, depending on what kind of enemy it is, right? So that way the enemies can be somewhat independent. They'll just implement it however they want. So let's say bar enemy equals collision dot collider dot get component enemy. So we'll get the enemy component of the thing we hit. And then if there is one, so if the enemy is not null, if not if enabled, if enemy is not equal to null, then we'll say enemy dot take damage. So that'll make it take some damage from the bullet. I could make it take a variable amount, but I don't have anything where I'm gonna change it to like a new number. So I think I'll just yeah, make it not take a variable for now. But I could always like make different power bullets or something, make pass that in or something. I think I won't though. I'm gonna replace that with public, just to make it a little more obvious. And then here on an enemy when they take damage, let's start by just saying game object that set active to false. Super simple. I'll shoot him once, he'll turn off. Should work. Really, really simple. And then we can expand it out a little bit. Maybe place some particles and bam. Okay, he disappeared. Pretty simple. All right, so let's make him. What do I want to do? You want to make him play an explosion, disable, and then spawn a bunch of them and make them chase after me or something. So I'm gonna go into package manager and let's see if we got any particle effects in here. I remember if I've downloaded any recently. Let's just search for explosion. Cartoon effects, epic tune effects. These probably all have some. Oh, war effects. That's not the one I wanted. Maybe I want to go with. I'm gonna try cartoon effects. I always like these ones. They're always cool. So why not just try out the free ones? These spell ones and all those. They're really cool, but they're like bigger. They're more like they're not this kind of game. I guess like I don't think that they would fit really well into this, or maybe casual sound effects. Oh yeah, I'm gonna try cartoon effects one first. See if there's like just a good little. I want like a sparky explosion where something blows up. Oh hi, I just saw the super chat. Hello out there. Thank you very much. Let's go. Cool. All right, let's get going with the import. I'm trying to keep an eye and see the chats there, but again, it's kind of hard seeing it all while I'm coding stuff. So if anybody's got any big questions, let me know, but I might miss them. Hopefully not. All right. We're almost done importing this. I'm thinking I just wanted to grab like some kind of a spark explosion or something. So we'll play the explosion, have this guy animate dying, and then make a bunch of them come chase after me. That way we can kill him, and then we can start getting some points or something for killing. All right, so we got Marvin here. Let's go into that asset pack folder, JMO assets for the cartoon effects, and let's see what we got here. So we have hits, explosions. Let's see. Let's try explosion. What's this one look like? Oh, it's okay. Fireworks one might work. Let's see. Explosions here. Nope, that's definitely not gonna work. What about the electric one? Sparks. Pull this up, restart. Actually, this might be a good hit impact. Maybe I'll do that. I'll make it so they can take a couple hits and I'll make them play this spark each time. And then when they die, they'll play another one. I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna use this spark as the hit impact. So I'm actually just gonna make a new prefab out of it. I'm gonna take this prefab here, this particle effect, drag it into prefabs, and I'm gonna make it an original prefab. And I'm gonna call this robot impact effect. I just call it robot impact. I already know it's an effect. It's a particle effect. All right, so we've got my particle effect there. I think I'll leave the auto destroy on for now. That's just a built-in thing that's in there. And then I'll make it spawn on him whenever he takes a hit. So let's go to enemy. When he takes a hit, it opened up another version of Visual Studio. I hate when it does that. Okay, so drag this around and get it to the right size again. All right, so when we take a hit, when we take damage, we'll set ourselves to active, but let's also spawn our prefab. So say instantiate hit prefab at our transform position and our transform rotation. So now I just generate a field for my hit prefab, generate that. Oh, nope, instantiate. I generated an instantiate. So I hit Alt Enter, and I hit generate variable and generate field. We'll go hit F12 to go to that prefab, and I'll just make it a game object, and then replace private with serialized field. So we can set it up in the inspector. Get rid of the start and that comment there. all of those using statements, save, and zoom out. So that's the entire enemy script. So now we got to hit prefab, we'll instantiate it, and then we'll set ourselves to inactive. Seems cool. All right, we'll go back to Unity. In Unity, I'm going to assign the hit prefab. So we'll go find our prefab folder, go to Marvin, and we'll just assign the robot impact. Save, and now if I do it, now he should play that once and blow up, right? Bam, he played it once and blew up. Now let's give him a little bit of health. I'm going to give him like 10 hit points, or let's give him like 3 hit points. So say serialized field, int health equals 3, give him like a default, and then I'll add a private variable, an int current health, and we'll leave that at the default value. Then when it gets enabled, so say on enable, we'll say current health equals health. Get rid of the private keywords. So this is just like a resetting health. So that way, if we enable and disable him, his health will reset. So if we put him into a pool or something, he can reset and reinitialize. And then in the take damage, we'll just say current health minus minus, and instantiate the hit prefab. And then we'll only do the destroy here. Let's scroll that up. Say if current health is less than or equal to 0, then set active to false. So now we have to hit it however many times it has for health, and then we'll turn it off after that. So it'll spark, 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 and then disappear. All right, we'll play. Try this again. Start shooting at Marvin. Bam, 3 sparks, and he's gone. All right, let's make him explode now. I didn't actually finish picking an explosion particle, so I'm going to do that now. While we pick an explosion particle, if you don't mind hitting the like and share button, that'd be cool. But I'm going to keep looking for a particle. So let's see, we got oh, that's definitely not going to work. What about that spark? Nope. And then let's see if there's something in 4 that might work. Sparks explosion. Oh, I think that's the one I was using. So I think the only workable explosions were in the CFX prefab 1 pack, at least in the free one. I could grab the other packs, but I don't want to switch asset store accounts to get them out. All right, so it's gonna be. I think I'll take this one for now. This boom one. So the CFX B smoke plus tech. I'll take that. I'm gonna make it into a prefab or another prefab in here. I'm gonna call this robot explosion. It'd be an original prefab. We'll rename it to robot explosion. Now you can just work with those existing prefabs, by the way, but I find that like then I end up modifying them, changing them, I re-import them, and it breaks stuff, and I get confused over which ones I'm using. A lot easier to just kind of copy them into a new prefab and use it that way. All right, go to Marvin, and we'll assign the explosion to him. Oh, I don't have an explosion field, so we'll open up the enemy. We'll add an serialized field here, and we'll call this explosion prefab. And then we'll spawn it, I guess, when our health gets to 0. So we'll say, hey, if the health is less than 0, then let's copy the instantiate line here and paste in explosion prefab instead. Now we'll spawn the explosion. If we're blowing up, we'll spawn the hit no matter what. So we'll get a spark and an explosion. I think that's okay. I could make this like an else statement, though, so that I only spawn the hit when I don't blow up if I wanted to, but I don't care. I want to see more particles and more explosions. Oh, hey, thanks for the super chat, Jason. Okay. So now you see that it's not blowing up. Look at that. I'm spawning or hitting it, and nothing's happening. So no explosions. Also, look at his feet. That's where the sparks are happening. The sparks aren't happening where I'm hitting him. They're happening at his feet. So let's stop playing and let's fix both of those things. The first issue is that it's giving an error because the explosion prefab hasn't been assigned. So just go assign the explosion. I go into my prefab folder and just drag it over here. That should fix it. Hit save. Should be able to see them blow up now, but I still expect that it's going to be sparks at the feet. Yep, and a boom. So let's make it happen right at the body or somewhere else. It could be where we do the impact or at the body. So to do that, we just need to pick a new position. So instead of transform position, I could do the impact position or the body is like center position. I'm thinking I want to do the impact position though. So to do that, I'm going to need a point of impact. So I'll need a vector 3 impact point. Just like that. I'll need to pass that into my take damage. And I'll just use that right here and right here. Now, my take damage method's going to have an error. If I hit Shift F12, though, I can go to the part where I have it. Or if I hit, let's hit Control Shift B, see the error. So it says build failed. Come on, references. Control Shift B, build failed. Is it going to let me go to the error? I don't know why it's not showing me the error message. But the problem here is that our take damage, let's just go to it, doesn't pass in that parameter. So I need to pass in the point where we actually hit. To do that, it's really, really simple. Just grab it off the collision. Do collision dot contacts dot zero at zero. So contacts is an array of all of the points that hit. It's almost always 1 point, but sometimes it can be more than one. I've never cared about more than one. So we care about contacts 0 dot point. That'll be the position of the first point of contact that we have. Now, again, it's almost always going to be 1 point. Sometimes it'll be two. If we like a flat thing on a flat thing, we could end up with two, or 2 points on a pokey thing that exactly end in the same frame. That could happen. But generally, with the bullet, we're going to get 1 point. So we'll take damage at that point. All right, let's play. See if we get our particles to show up at the right spot. And, yeah. No error. Bam, look at that. So he blows up, and I think it kind of works. All right, I'm going to save real quick. I'm going to take a drink and watch chat for a second. So if anybody's got any questions, anything you want to ask so far about what we're doing, just feel free to ask away. I'm going to just keep going with this, though, and then we'll keep building and adding in some more features and functionality. We go do robot spawning so we can get a whole bunch of them next. Make a whole bunch of enemies appear, make a bunch of prefabs of them, some variety, and then some scoring and stuff. But yeah, if anybody's got chat, anybody wants to just ask any questions or anything, now is a good time to ask while I take a real quick second to take a drink and just see what everybody's up to. Cool. All right. Had a blast. Let's see. Presently putting some of the games in the Apple Store. Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm just kind of reading through chat, reading out loud. Oh yeah, I do have an error. What's the error here? I mentioned that I still have an error. The error, it's this I don't know what it's from. It's something with the layout, the Unity layout stuff. It's not actually an issue in the code. You'll get this in an empty project a lot of the time too. And yeah, the video will still be available after. You'll be able to go back through and check it out, the whole thing. Let's see. Any other questions coming in? Don't look like much. Also, get going in just another second. A couple more drinks. And refreshing. Yeah, if everybody doesn't mind hitting the like button or sharing this, just drop it on Facebook or wherever else you like to share stuff, Instagram or whatever. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Really appreciate it. But hey, not a big deal either way. All right, so add blasters, please. Okay, interesting. What would the blasters do? Here. Will you prevent robot enemies from walking inside you? Yeah, I mean, we'll have to make robot enemies kill us. I think that's the plan, right? So we'll blow up a bunch of them first because there's no fun in just dying when you can't kill the enemies. But we'll make it so we can kill the enemies and then add in some threats to make us die and maybe like a target or something to go to. So let's I guess let's get going. Also, if anybody's curious, we are using I think the latest version. Actually there might be a one version newer of Unity that's out now, but and I might have missed that. But yeah, just working in the latest 2020 right now. So all right, let's go. Enemy. So we'll set up some more enemies and let's make them spawn and start running at me. Because right now I can kind of turn and shoot and blast them and stuff, and that's cool and all, but there's only one guy. So my options here are pretty simple. I could just make a bunch of them, just duplicate them and duplicate, 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 and then hit play, and then have like this little boring thing. Well, I mean, I guess it's actually kind of cool having them there as a wave like that spawned is kind of neat. Which gives me an idea of how I want to spawn them. But I don't want to just like set all of these guys up and make them like really far away so that they walk in at a certain time or something like that. We want to set up some sort of an actual spawning system that like instantiates these dudes at runtime or re-enables and pulls them. So I'm gonna delete all of these Marvin blues and just leave my one little Marvin. And I'm gonna check his overrides. Yeah, he has a couple new things, so I'm gonna hit apply all. It's just off screen, but I'm hitting apply all and get rid of those. So there's no overrides left. So the prefab is updated. And then I'm gonna make a spawner. So a spawner script is really, really simple. If you haven't made one before, be prepared to see just how simple and easy they are to make. So right click, hit create, C# script, make a spawner, name it spawner, hit enter, and open that script up. Oh, look, another instance of Visual Studio. I don't know why it's doing that. It's really strange. It keeps opening up a new one every time. Odd, but whatever. All right. So let's see. Our spawner, what do we want to do here? Well, we want to instantiate an NPC whenever it's time to instantiate the NPC. Probably want to pick an NPC from a random list of them and then spawn it at some random like sub point. So pretty simple code to write. We'll go into our update. We'll get rid of that start. And in our update, we'll say if should, let's fix that, should spawn. Gotta get my casing right. Then spawn. And that's essentially the logic to our spawner, right? If we should spawn, then we want to do a spawning action. So say alt enter and generate a method for should spawn. And here, get rid of that private keyword again. And we'll just change our should spawn implementation to just like our shoot. Let's go look at the shoot real quick. Anybody who was guessing how I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it exactly like this. Just like our can shoot, our should spawn, we'll do something like where we check the time and see if it's greater than our next spawn time. So I'll paste it in, and instead of next shoot time, we'll say next spawn time. Benefit to this, by the way, is that now I'm reusing a very simple pattern in my code, and anybody who looks at it, they see like should shoot and should spawn, they're gonna understand how they work. They're not gonna have to figure it out. They're gonna have to go like, hey, this one works totally different by counting up, and this one works totally different by doing it, using a timestamp or whatever. Whatever way you decide to do timers, I'd recommend just kind of picking that and sticking with it if it makes sense for that timer, and just kind of picking one or two ways that you like to do them. Don't mix it up and do them different everywhere because then people just get confused. All right, so let's create a next spawn time, generate a field, and get rid of the private keyword. So then spawning, alt enter, generate a method, and you might have guessed, first thing we need to do is set our spawn time. So I'll copy next spawn time, set it to our time.time plus some delay. So say underscore delay, and hit escape and generate that field again. Replace this with a serialized field and give it a default of, I'm going to give it like 2 seconds. So it'll spawn every 2 seconds. All right. So right now that doesn't actually spawn. It just sets our next spawn time. We need to make it instantiate a prefab. So say var enemy equals instantiate. Let's say, and actually let's just call it prefab because it doesn't need to be an enemy. In fact, let's say a var instance equals instantiate prefab. In fact, I don't even know if I need an instance of it. I'll instantiate the prefab at our transform position and use our transforms rotation. That's all we really need. I don't think I need to do anything else. So I'll create a prefab. So I'll copy this and I'm going to go up here and make a serialized field. And it'll be a game object of type or named prefab. Get rid of these using statements. Zoom out a little bit, and that's the whole script. So spawner checks to see if we should spawn and update. If we should, we spawn. We spawn by setting our next spawn time to our current time plus the delay, which is defaulted to 2, and then instantiate the prefab at our current point. Now I need to add in some variation, some randomization, and some other things, but first let's just make sure that this part works. So go back into Unity. We'll go create a spawner object. So I'm going to go to game object. I'm going to make a cube here. So I went game object, 3D object, cube, just so I can see a little visualization of the thing here. I'll place it maybe over here, rename it to spawner. I'm going to uncheck the box collider. I don't want it to have a collider because I don't want my NPC walking into it. And then type in spawner and add that spawner component. Now I need to create or assign my prefab here. So if I hit this, I can see I have a whole ton of options. Not the best way to find it. But I can go to my prefabs folder and I haven't actually made my robot into its own prefab. So I'm going to take Marvin Blue here, drag him into prefabs folder, make him an original prefab again, because right now I'm using the prefab from that asset pack. I don't want to do that. I want to make him his own prefab, and I'll rename him to Marvin Blue, but I'm going to get rid of the underscore. There we go. I'll just name him, I'll just name him Marvin Blue with no underscore. I think that's fine. Now I'll assign him to the spawner. So go to the spawner and drag in Marvin Blue, hit save and play, and let's see if it works. All right, so now we've got Marvins, and Marvins are spawning. Look at that. I've got a wall or an army of Marvins coming. And they're actually a little bit hard to kill. I don't know if I can keep up with these Marvins. All right, so let's stop playing and randomize the spawn position first. Before I randomize the NPCs, I have to make a couple more, and it's a lot easier to randomize the spawn position. So we'll start with that. So I'll go to my spawner here, and I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to create an empty child. Or actually, let's create a cube that's a child of it. And then I'm going to move it over here to the right. In fact, here, I'm going to hit Control Z. I'm going to go to grid snapping mode since I'm in global and just move it like a full meter over to the right. Then duplicate, move another one over here and another one over here. Actually, I'm going to turn grid snapping off. That's not very helpful in here. So I've got a couple different points here. I'm going to duplicate again and move this one over here, maybe up a little bit. Duplicate again and maybe up here. And then duplicate and maybe put one like, I don't know, over here. So I've got all 4 of these children, these little child cubes. They're children of this spawner. What I'm going to do is just pick one of them at random to be the spawn point that I use when I spawn a Marvin. So that way they don't come out in a straight line. So let's go into our spawner code and let's add a way to assign a bunch of spawn points. So to do that, we'll add another serialized field and we're going to add a transform, but it's not going to be a single transform. It's going to be a transform array. So we add the 2 square brackets right there and we'll call this spawn points. Now I'll save that and I'll copy it. So double click, Control C. And then when we spawn it, instead of spawning at our transform position, we'll spawn at a spawn point. So say var spawn point equals, and I want to use spawn points at some random index. So I'll say random index. I need to pick a random index, and this random index is going to be a number between 0 and the number of spawn points that I have, because spawn points is essentially assigned out as like it's an array, but you can think of it as a thing that we can index from like 1 to 100. You want to get all the items, except that the first one starts with 0. So you get the first item is 0, the second spawn point will be 1, and so on. You'll see it a little bit better in the inspector in a second. We need to create a random index though, and this is going to be an integer. So I'll hit Alt Enter and hit generate variable. And I don't want it to be a field. I want it to be a local variable. So the random index is going to be assigned by using Unity Engine .random.range, and we'll give it a value from 0 to our spawn points .length. Now this will just pick a random spawn point. Now the Unity Engine thing here, by the way, it's grayed out saying that it can be simplified. But if I remove it and I add a using system here, so if I do this, then suddenly it's no longer valid. It can't be removed. So most of the time I just type it in there and I leave it there, even though it says it can be removed, because later somebody adds the using system statement and then it breaks it because system has its own random class. All right, so we get a spawn point. Let's use that spawn point. I'll paste it here, paste it there, save. We'll go back into Unity. And then we should see spawn points appear here. Notice how it's a collection here, has a size of 0 because there are none assigned. I'm going to hit the lock button so that it stays locked. Go select all of these cubes, these children here, and then drag them all at once. If I don't lock it, it would go click on them and select them. So now they're all here. Notice how this says element 0. That's what I meant by accessing index 0 or item 0. That's going to be this first cube. So if I get a 0, it's going to be this cube. If I get a 1, it's going to be that. 2, it'll be that. 3, that. 4, that. 5, that. 6, that. It doesn't matter the order because we're picking one at random or completely at random. Now I'm going to save and hit play. I'm going to leave the visuals on for just a moment, but then we can just turn them off. Watch and see what happens. So you can kind of see them here. Let's go to the scene view and you'll see that it's just spawning out of, well, it should be spawning out of a different one each time. Oh, there we go. Okay, so just got it a little bit unlucky. Let's turn the spawn delay down to like 0.5. So it starts speeding up a little bit, turn down to like 0.1, start seeing them just kind of flying out from everywhere and get totally overwhelmed and not be able to defeat them. All right, that's a lot of Marvins there. Wow. Okay, let's stop playing now. And I'm going to go in and make it so there's a bunch of different versions of him. Right now there's just this one Marvin. Let's make it so there are a couple different enemies, and then we'll make it so they can get points from killing them, and then make it so they can kill us, and then see how long we can last. I think that would kind of get together at least somewhat of a gameplay loop. So we'll start by making a couple more enemies here. So go to my Marvin Blue, and I'm going to go to the robot pack, and I think that the second biggest pick was to use one of these cute robot guys, right? Let me unlock my inspector, and I think it was these guys right here. So I'm going to take a drink and let everybody kind of pick the color or the one that they want to use. In fact, let's take them all. I'm going to drag them all out into the scene right here. Let's see, drag black, the blue, the brown, the green. Here, I'm going to drag them silently while I drink. All right, look at all of those different colors. Anybody have a preference on which version of this guy we use next? All right, we'll see. Anybody got any preference on him? Figure we have at least two different guys. We can always set up a whole bunch of different things, but set up at least two different guys that move at different speeds and maybe do different things. I don't know if anybody's got thoughts. So green, blue, green. About the asset store, you just go to search for Unity Asset Store and you'll see it. There's also a window and asset store menu here. You go to window and where is it? Asset store? There you go. You see, but it just takes you to the web page link essentially. You go search for stuff. All right, so let's see. Lots of chat here. Lots of red, red, red. Okay, lots of people want the red one. Okay, I'm gonna go with the red one. It seems like it's by far the most popular. Of course, we could always add in any of them. It's really easy to add in a bunch of different varieties. So let's start with the red guy first. Oh, hey, thanks for the super chat, Mitch. Thanks for the great stream. Possible like advice. 20 working on my portfolio. What should I focus on displaying with my games I want to develop or position? Um, good question. I would say that if you're trying to show off a portfolio, this is something I talk about a lot too, and it's interesting. So I want to talk about it for just a second. But if you want to show off portfolio stuff, I would really recommend putting together something that people can actually get in and play that's going to impress them in like 30 seconds. Because what happens a lot of time when we're looking at resumes and stuff, hiring developers, a lot of people at least, have a portfolio, and the ones who have these cool playable things where you can actually get in, see what they did, see what they built, and that they finished it, published it, put it up. It doesn't have to be published like into a paid platform or anything, just be on itch.io or something. But they got it up there and put it up, and you're able to play it, and it works, and it's interesting and polished. And again, mostly that it works and is bug free. That's the kind of thing that I would work on getting up there and showing off to people. Make something that's simple but somewhat interesting. Doesn't have to be amazing. Just interest them and do it in 30 seconds or less. Don't make it something that they have to spend half an hour to understand or get into or enjoy. Make it something that they can get into and have fun with right away. All right, let's set up this NPC. All right, cute robot, red. So let's look at Marvin real quick. Marvin has a nav mesh agent, a capsule collider, an animator, and an enemy script. That's really all this robot needs. So let's go. Nav mesh agent, enemy. And then what did I say? A capsule collider with, remember, the Y center at 1 and the height at 2. That way they're all just kind of uniform. And was there anything else? Let's go double check Marvin. Nope. So one thing that is missing though, if we go look at our robot, is that the values here aren't assigned. I could just go click on them and drag them, or I can be lazy, right click on this one, hit copy component, go over to my red robot, right click on it on the enemy script and hit paste component values. There we go. Now I've got my other NPC set up. If I hit play, I expect him to just walk right to me and be ready to shoot and die. It should be pretty much it. Let's hit play and see. All right, so I shoot the red guy. Bam. Okay, but he's not animating, so I need to fix his animation. I'll go to animations. I'm going to take Marvin. Bam. Drop it in there. Hit play. Let's watch him. There we go. Now he's walking, running at me, and working good. So let's rename him. I'm going to rename him to Cute Red, and then we'll drop him into prefabs. We'll call him Cute Red. Drop him down here, and make him an original prefab. Now, if I want to make some variants on it, there's a bunch of different options, right? I could just go in and redo this with each one of those objects and swap them out. But there's an easier way to do it. If I right click on it and hit create and choose, where is it? Prefab variant. Or no, it's where's the option for? I always get myself mixed up now. Prefab variant, right there, bam. So prefab variant, and I just make this a different color, like cute white. And we'll use the white one, and then we'll do like the blue one next. Let's see. So the white one, where's, oh, sorry. So to modify it, I'll double click on it. And then we'll go down to its body part here. And right here where we have the material assigned, I just need to adjust these to be the white material instead. So I'll click on it, go select the white one, and drag it in. I could just go through and select all of these, but I want to make sure that they're all on the same one. Notice how a couple of them are using the blue. It's interesting that they use the blue. I wonder why that is. Let's go assign the white one real quick and see if it works here. or if there's something different about the blue one. So drag it in. Okay, it works on all of them. I'm just going to assign white to all of them. Where's that material one more time? Bam, and now we've got a white version of that bot. So if I go back and I take my white robot out of the prefab folder, where's that cute white? Bam, now I've got him set up and he should work exactly the same. Now I'm going to do another variant and let's make a blue one too. So go right click, prefab variant. Where's that at? Prefab variant. I keep missing it even though it's right in front of me. We'll make a cute blue. All right, so here we'll go to our prefab edit mode again. So I got to double click on it. I get my words mixed up here. And then collapse these down, select them all. We'll choose a material. And here I'll search for blue and choose the cute robot blue. Bam, now I've got a blue one. That's it. That's all I need to do to make just a bunch of different prefab variants of different robots. Now, if I want to change the speeds of them, like say I want to make this blue guy, let's make him a little bit slower. To do that, I can just adjust his nav mesh agent. So I'll make the blue guy, he'll be like slow and tanky. So I'll make him go at 2.5 and he's got 5 health. Seems like a good value for him. The red guy, I'm going to make go like 1 health, but he goes a little bit faster. So he's like 4.5. And then the white one, I'll put like just kind of in the center. It'll be 2 health and the 3.5. So now I've got a little bit of variation in the speed that they go at and the health that they have. All right, let's set up the spawner now to be able to use all of them. So go back to the spawner, go to our spawner script, and in here, just like we randomize the spawn points, we could just randomize the NPCs or the bots to use. So we'll just do that with a serialized field, and it'll be of type enemy, but again, not a single one. We're going to do an array so that we can pick a random one. So we'll do square braces and name this enemies. All right, now we'll go when we select an enemy or select when we do our spawn, instead of using a prefab here or the prefab field, we'll just pick an enemy at random. So I'm going to delete the prefab field here. Shift delete deletes the whole row, by the way, or whole line. Anybody that's not used to that, it's one of my favorite hotkeys. Shift delete and also control backspace to go back. If you know, or not control backspace, control minus to go back. It takes you back like to the last place you're at. I have that actually bound on my mouse as one of my hotkeys to just go back to the last point I was at. All right, so let's select an enemy at random. Do the same thing that we did here where we selected a spawn point. In fact, I'm going to refactor and extract this part out. So this part here where we select a spawn point, select it all, hit Alt Enter, hit extract method, and make this call it choose spawn point. And now I'll do another one that just does a choose enemy. So I'll say enemy equals choose enemy. That way my code gets a little bit easier to read. And I'll hit Alt Enter and generate it. And then we'll just choose the enemy right there. Or we'll assign the enemy. So now I have this enemy that I need to pick out of my choose enemy method. So I'll delete the private keyword. Delete that private keyword there too. And I'm just going to copy this. I'm literally just going to copy this part where I do my choose spawn point. Paste it here. We'll replace spawn points with enemies. And replace the word spawn point. Control RR with enemy. That's it. I don't need to do anything else. Again, I could make it like more generic and reusable, but there's really no benefit when I'm using it these 2 times in this one little spot. So let's go back to our spawner and assign the different enemies and then see if we can go blow them up real quick. So expand out enemies and we'll lock this. Go to our prefabs folder and go select our 3 cute guys and the Marvin one. Drop them all in here as possible enemies. Save and hit play. I expect to see a whole bunch of different enemies appearing now and spawning out of those different spawn points, or a variety of them. There's some Marvins. There's some of that gray dude. A whole bunch of, yeah, there's definitely, yeah, it's working. Okay, so real quick, people asking what language this is. It's C#, and we're working in Unity, just making a shooter, just going from scratch. So anybody who's joining in late, you can always go back later and rewind and watch the whole thing, go through all of the steps, kind of taking it step by step and just building out the entire thing. So we've got the enemies here spawning. I'm going to stop playing and just add a couple more spawners. So I've got my spawner right now. Actually, first I'm going to go, well, actually, I don't want to disable the visuals yet. So I'll duplicate my spawner, hit Control D, and I'm going to move this one just kind of down the street a bit so that it comes kind of off the screen. I think it needs to go a little bit further. Let's take game view, make it side by side, and then just drag this out here so that they appear just off the screen. I don't want them to spawn on the screen. Then I'll duplicate that again, and I'm gonna move it so that it's off the screen down this way, but I'm gonna rotate it too. So here, rotate with E, and then hold Control and just drag that, spin them around, get them kind of spread out, but off the screen. There's still a little bit on the screen, so let's drag them a little bit more. And then I need to move this other cube that kind of went off of the edge because that wouldn't actually spawn. Okay, and man, these are still they're still just barely inside my view. So I think what I'm gonna do, just to make it easier on myself, is move my camera in a little bit. So let me find the camera, and if I go to hit F and go to it, if I just pull it in a tiny little bit or down a tiny little bit, I think that that's gonna fix my issue with them being off screen. I could just expand out the road too, but I don't really feel like anybody wants to watch me level build because I am not a good level builder. My level building skills are pretty terrible. But I can write some code and I can show you how to do that. So we'll stick to that part. All right, so I've got the other spawner there. I've got that one. I'll duplicate this one and put it over here somewhere and rotate again. Hit E, hold Control and drag it. W to move and get it kind of placed. All right, so now I expect to see enemies coming from all three directions. And I don't have any cubes on my screen. If I still had the cubes and I really wanted to spawn them on screen, by the way, I could just disable the renderers on those. But I like having them on so that I can see exactly where they're spawning. And I haven't had to set up any custom editor stuff for them yet. There we go. I got enemies coming from all different directions. Things seem to work. Let's stop playing. Let's hit maximize, or just maximize on play, hit play, and start blasting a bunch of dudes. All right, here come the enemies, and I don't know if I'd be able to. Maybe I could keep up at this rate. I don't think so. I'm not a good enough shot. I'm definitely gonna get overwhelmed. So let's see. Let's stop playing real quick. I'm gonna crank up my shooting rate just a little bit so that I can have a little bit more fun. Shoot some of them, and then we'll extend out the code. Okay, so not the spawner. Oh, I have it locked. Unlock my inspector. Let's turn our shoot delay down to like 0.1. I'll double my shoot speed. Hit play and see what happens. The other thing I was thinking might be interesting too is I could add like a spray or something, like a spread shot. Let's see. There we go. Getting that's a little bit better. Able to shoot at the enemies. There's still a lot of them though. Hmm. All right. So, yeah, there's a question about serialized fields in the chat. It just makes it so that the field is accessible in the inspector and in the editor, but without making it public, so that you can't accidentally change it from some other code. All right. So I think that now I've got a couple options. I could add in score, or I could add in death. I think I want to add in score before I add in player death, so that I can build up my score and then see how hard it actually is. So I'm going to do that by creating a new system or a score system. So we'll actually do a little bit of UI work. If anybody was excited or interested in seeing how to build an in-game UI, well, this will only take a second. So we'll do it by creating a new game object. Go to game object, UI, and use text mesh pro text. This will pop up the inspector or the importer for text mesh pro, and I'll hit the import button and pull it in. I want my text to look nice. There's a question about at what point do you know enough to start working at a company? I'd say as soon as you can build if you can build a little mini game on your own, you probably know at least enough to start working and contributing at a junior level at a company. So I would say if you can code a little bit, you can make a game, you can figure out a couple of issues, you should be able to at least contribute. You got to remember, like, you're not going to be the best or the expert there at the beginning, and nobody's going to expect you to. They're going to expect you to do smaller things at first and kind of learn on the job as you get used to it. Every project is different, every team is different, and you're going to get better at it as you go along. So I would say as soon as you can write some code, you can build some little games, and you understand what you're doing. Start applying. And I mean, the sooner you get into a job, the sooner you're going to get faster and faster and better. All right, so we got a text object here. Let's take a look at it. It shows up right in the middle of the scene, or of the game view. If I go to the scene view and hit F, it looks weird, but if I go to 2D and zoom out, I can kind of see what it's doing there. All I want to do is dock this to the top and make it some text that shows my score. So I'm going to hit this direct transform tool and hit Alt and Shift. Yeah, Alt and Shift, and then click this one right here to dock it to the top. Now I've got text up there. I want to rename this or change the text to say like 000, 000. and see what it's going to look like, and then crank that font size way up. Now, obviously, I don't want it to stretch like that, so I'm going to make it stretch across the top with the anchor preset. So I'll hold Alt and Shift, do the stretch one, and that looks good. Now, the reason it's over to the left is because the text is aligned to the left. If I hit the center, you see it aligns to the center. If I look at it, you see here it's stretched out now because of that anchor option. I'm going to drag this down just so that it matches what it's actually sized at. Right now, it's overflowing anyway. And then I'll set this to like a 160 font. I think that probably a big enough score. It might be a little bit too big, but who knows? Let's see. I'll set it to like 100,000 as the score. All right, now I'm going to change the font asset because I don't want this Liberation one. I want to use something like Bangers, or maybe Electronic Highway is always one that looks kind of like it looks like a score system. So maybe I'll use that Electronic Highway one. And then, oh, this one doesn't have any drop down options. If you want to pick one that has some drop downs, you can go like Bangers and use the drop shadow, or with the outline, or it's the glow one. Oh, that's interesting. And the logo. I'm not sure what that one is. I think I'm just gonna go with the I'm gonna go with Banger's outline for now. That'll be my score counter. So this is just gonna be some text to show how many points I have. Now, my score system is gonna be really, really simple, so I'm gonna drop it onto my text object. I don't care. It doesn't need to link up with anything. And I'm not gonna persist score across multiple levels or anything right now. So I'm just gonna create a score system and drop it onto this text. So right click, create a new C# script, call it score system, open it up. And what this is going to do is keep track of a number of points and then update our text whenever we add some points. So let's zoom in a little bit, delete all of that extra stuff, delete the unused using statements. And our score system is going to need a public method that adds points. So say public void add int points. So to add some number of points. All that needs to do is increment our total points. So say points plus equals points. This would be our current total points being, and then this is the number of points being added that's passed in as the parameter. So hit Alt Enter and generate that total number of points. Get rid of that private keyword. And now we've got a value that'll stick around. When that value changes, we just want to update our text to say the new value. We'll say underscore text, set text, and we'll set it to points dot to string. Now we don't have an underscore text yet, so let's get it. To do that, I'll add an awake method down here. I'll zoom out just a little bit. Get rid of the private keyword again, and I'll say underscore text equals get component tmp underscore text. Add in the open close parentheses and the semicolon. Add the using statement here by clicking on it and hitting Alt Enter, and then add the field here by hitting Alt Enter and generating the field. Now the reason that we use the tmp text, by the way, is just so that, well, if you look here, let's go take a quick look at it. This text object here is using a Text Mesh Pro text. And there are two different versions of them. There's one for world space UIs that we would place like in the world if you had it on like an in-game screen or something. And then other ones for the overlay UIs. The TMP text is the base class, so it works for both of them. So that way I can have this work in like a world space UI or in this overlay UI. So that's why I use that base class. Plus it's shorter and I don't have to type out the full name. So what this is going to do is get that text object here, cache it, and then whenever we add points, it'll keep track of the number of points and then show them in here. It's not going to put a comma in there though. You might have to do something for that later, but first let's just get it working. First, we'll add the score system script to that text. And if you're wondering like, hey, should I really put my score system on a text object? No, I wouldn't. I would probably say that I'd move this out into another game object, something that stays around and keeps some longer lifetime. But since the lifetime of my scene is the lifetime of my game, it doesn't matter, and there's no reason to add the extra complication. But assuming that I wanted to have more than one level, this is not the place that I would keep it. I would separate them out and put in some linking, some events together or something to keep track of them. So here we've got our score system, and it should work if we just start to call add. Now to call add, or where do we want to call it? I think just in the take damage. So when we blow up an enemy, we can add in some points based on the enemy's point value. So I'll just say, hey, score system dot add, and if you look, there's no add method for it because our score system it's not static and we don't have an instance of it. There's no way to get to this add method. So I have a couple options here. I could make our score system into a singleton. I could do a find object of type score system dot add and just add in the points. And honestly, like in this case, this is probably the best solution, only because we're not going to ever hit a performance issue here. I'm never going to blow up enough things fast enough that this find object of type call is going to matter. In reality, I should cache this make it a singleton or something else, or make it a static method. I'm going to do it. I can't resist. We're going to do it. We're going to go score system.add, and we'll add in point value. Sorry, I said I was going to do it the sloppy way, but I just couldn't do it. So let's add in a point value. So hit Alt Enter. We'll generate a field for it. Hit F12, and let's go up here. Replace this with serialized field. Give it a default of 100 points. I'm going to move it up here so that it's by the health. All right. Now we'll go make this actually work. So I'll hit F12, go to the add method. We're going to make it static. So what that means is that it's no longer going to have references to anything in the object. It's no longer going to know about its existence as an object. This is actually just a method that's on score system, totally unrelated to the instances of it. So I need to have a reference to the instance of the object to set this point value and to set the text. I can cheat though. What I can do is say static int points in static MP text. Bam. Now I'll cache that text once right away whenever this thing awakes. And my points value is always the same. I can delete that, save it off, and I didn't really have to write much extra code, but it's a cleaner, it's at least more performant. I'm no longer going to be getting multiple text objects, or no longer going to be searching for that object every time. All right, so let's try it out. So if I hit play, I expect to see my score stay until I blow something up. Bam, 100, 200, 500, 6, and so on. So if I stop playing now, I think it makes sense to start changing the value of these NPCs because they're all worth the same point value. Let's create an enemy folder underneath prefabs. Enemies, oops, no, Y's and enemies, and move these robots under it. All right. And then in here, we'll just modify these values. So the blue one I made really big. So let's make them worth like 500. You know, maybe I'll just make them worth about what their health value is. So this guy's worth 200. And let's make Marvin seems pretty special. So I'm going to make him worth more points. I'm going to make him worth 1,000 points. And not very hard to kill. Just so that he's fun. He's more exciting to take out, right? All right. We'll hit play one more time. See if that score stuff works. If I can blow things up. That scoring is working great. Yep, things are blowing up. Look at that. All right, cool. And now I think the next thing I want to do is make it so I could actually die. Because without anything killing me, there's no real challenge. So let's make it so the player can die. To do that, we'll go into the enemy, and we got a couple options. I mean, we could add like a on collision enter and see if he just bumps into the player. Let's double check. Our enemy has a collider on him, right? Marvin's have a collider on him. So we can just do a check to see if we bump into the player. Let's see if the player has a collider though. Can't remember if our player actually had one anymore. Our player does not have a collider. So let's add a capsule collider real quick. And let's set his position, the center to 1 and the height to 2. I'm going to go to scene view so you can see what it looks like. Go out of 2D mode, hit F and zoom in. So that's the capsule at 1 here and 2 on the height. If it was at 1, it'd be tiny. All right, so we'll save that off. Let's hit play and see. Now you should see like the bots should kind of run up to him and stop. They shouldn't run through him anymore. Here, let's see if they do that. Oh, interesting. I'm surprised that they're still pushing into him. Huh. I'm not sure why they're still pushing into me. What did I miss? I don't know. Let's figure it out though. Let's go make them actually do the damage when they hit the collision enter though, because now we have a collider and we have a collider on my Marvins and my enemies. So I'm just gonna add an on collision enter to the enemy, and then we'll make it so that they die when I get hit. So say on collision enter, and I'm gonna get rid of the private keyword, and here we'll say var player equals collision dot collider dot get component, and we'll get the player again. And if the player is not equal to null, so if we actually hit a player, then we'll just kill the player. Now, the easiest way to kill a player in a Unity game is to just reload the scene or reload the game. So I'm going to cheat and do it that way as my start. So we'll do scene manager, which doesn't exist until I hit escape, alt enter, and add the using statement. And then do dot load scene and pass in a 0. That'll just reload our first saved off scene, or our first scene in our scene index. So if I save and hit play, let's see what happens. Oh, the enemies have a, what's going on here? Oh, they don't have a rigid body. Ah. That's the problem. So they need to have a rigid body, and I need to make that kinematic. I don't want to use gravity. Let's hit that. No, what did I miss? I missed something here. Hopefully somebody in chat sees it. I'm not sure what I've missed on my player. My NPC has oh, he doesn't have a rigid body. That could have something to do with it. Missing the rigid body on my actual character. Let's turn that on, hit play, and try one more time. Okay. Still missing something. What have I missed here? So my robot soldier. Marvin's. Oh wait, did I add the rigid body to the that's the problem. Oh, okay, I see what I did. I messed up. I added the rigid body to my object out there, not to the actual characters. Let me make sure that I have it on all of them here. We've got Marvin here. And does he have a rigid body? He does. Marvin does. These guys do not. I need to add a rigid body to them and save and hit play. Yeah, I totally messed that up. Got my rigid bodies in the wrong spot. Okay, so that should work there. Bam, and I die when they hit me. So now you see that when I get hit, I'm dying. So what I missed there, for anybody who was missing it or was confused there, I didn't put the rigid body on my player, and I didn't have a rigid body on my enemies, and I need a rigid body on at least one of them to get the collisions between the two of them. That looked like a root motion animation issue. That was weird. And then the other issue that I had was that when I did it, I didn't put it on the prefabs. So the guys that were spawning didn't come in with the rigid bodies on them. But the other guys did. Okay, so why? Oh, okay. I need to lock the rotation and position of these guys. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. So if I go into my characters here, I believe I can just check is kinematic on all of them. I don't really want them moving or getting pushed around. Check that. There we go. Now they should start moving normal. Yeah, and is gravity was on too. Having them kinematic should mean that they stop falling too, though. But unchecking it makes sense. Okay, looks much better. So I've got enemies here that shoot, and they they don't shoot. They chase me though, and I don't know how long I can live. Okay, I got up to like 7,000. Um, let's add in a high score real quick. I want to see what my high score is, and then we'll keep going from there. Oh yeah, somebody asked about the monitor. It's a yeah, it's 49-inch LG, and it's by far like the favorite thing that I've upgraded in a long time. It's a huge upgrade from having a triple monitor setup. Just because there's no bezel and I can kind of get things exactly where I want them. With the triple, I was always constantly turning my neck here, trying to see things and get it right. And here it's just kind of perfect. Obviously it's not perfect for all games, but Star Wars has been great on here too. If you got a game that works great in widescreen, it's a lot of fun. If not, then hey, not as great. All right, so let's get going with what was I gonna add before my kid just started screaming? Oh, I've lost it. I lost it. What was I gonna add here? Somebody remind me in chat. Oh, high score. I remember now. Let's go add a high score real quick. So I'm gonna hit F, go to it in the scene view, go to 2D mode, and then I'm gonna duplicate this text object and just make a high score text object. So duplicate it. I'm gonna anchor it to the top right here so that it's or actually, you know what? Let's just keep the anchor there the same. I'm just gonna do the alignment here. So I'll right align it. I'm gonna shrink the text size down to like 80 because that's the top score. And then let's replace the score system script with a top score script. Oh, how do I want to do this? Let me think for just a second. I think I want to, because I don't want to add a second script for this. I just want to add a high score value. So I'll say static int high score. And then here we'll say if points is greater than or equal to high score, then high score equals points. And I want to update the text object here to be the high score. So I'll say that the high score text set text to that high score value. So I'll copy this, paste it, replace text with high score text, and then replace points with high score. And I need to figure out how to get my high score text So I'm going to make that a field up here. I'll say TMP text, high score text. And then I'm going to have to replace it. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to make this a serialized field. And I'll make the other one a serialized field. Watch this. We're going to move things around real quick. Yeah, we can save the high score off permanently too. Why not? So we'll set our text here. We'll get this, but what I'm going to need to do now is just make this into like a full-fledged singleton. So in awake, I'll say instance, right here, let's make it a private one. Instance equals this. We'll delete that and we'll generate a static field for instance. So go up here, replace private with static. What's going to happen here, let's move this awake method up. I'm going to cut it, move it up here, and turn it into an expression body method. So it's very, very clear what's going on here. Move these right up here. All right. So in awake, we're going to say, hey, our static instance, which there's only ever one of, is set to us. Now, if we had 3 score systems, we'd call it once, we'd set it to the first one, then we'd set it to the second one, then we'd set it to the third one. Don't have 3 score systems. That will break the system. You need to have smarter code if you want to do that. But since I only have 1 score system, what I can do with this is now I can copy this instance here. And when I want to set the text, I can do underscore instance dot underscore text and underscore instance dot underscore high text. So now I can set up a score system object in my scene and I can just assign these 2 serialized fields. Let's zoom out and take a real quick look at what this looks like. So here you can see I've got this add method here that's static. So I can call add without knowing anything about the score system. And the score system is just going to say, hey, okay, go set up your values and set up your instance. Or not use setup, but use your instance and update those values. Obviously, I could add in some checks to make it smarter and stuff, but I don't necessarily need to. And I could even, I could make these not static as well. I can make the high score and the points not static. It's not going to make any difference either way, really, to be honest. Yeah. If I made these points not static, I'd have to reference them there. So I'm just going to save, and then I'm going to go into my score system or set up my score system real quick, and then we'll make this persist as well. So let's go into our score system here. And right now I've got the score system on both of these text objects. That's not going to work. That's a big problem. I'm going to move it. I'm going to click, drag it, and move it onto my canvas. If I click here, you'll see that it's gone from this child here, but it's still on this other text. So I'm going to remove it here. So right click and hit remove. Go to the canvas again where I put my score system, and I'll just set the text to this one and the high score text to this second one. I'm going to rename them though. Call this high score, and let's call this score, and save that off. So now I've got them both assigned here, and if I hit play, I should see that my score goes up. Let's see. And actually making those not static would be an issue too, because then my high score would reset every time I went into a new scene. That would definitely be an issue. Okay, so I've got a high score of 3,200. Oh, see, I kill a guy, and oh, my score's not resetting. Well, let's stop playing. Actually, yeah, let's make this not static. So we'll make our points value not static. I'm gonna make the high score value stay static. So points will get incremented. I'll use instance.points plus equals points, and here we'll say, actually, I'm gonna simplify this. I don't like calling instance dot a billion times. So what we're gonna do instead is make a new method. So I'll close this up. I'll say private void add int points. And what we'll do is we'll add our points here. We'll remove this instance part here. We'll remove the instance part here. And we're going to say underscore instance dot add. Now we could, of course, just make the instance public and then say score system dot instance dot add. But here, what's the problem here? Oh, there, it's got the same name. Sorry. Add points. I kept the name the same. So here we've got it wrapped up. So now I've got this public method to just wrap into the instance. If I wanted to pull other things out, I would probably make this instance closer to a public singleton where it's just a thing that I reference. All right, so this should do it. So now we'll get a new version of points every time we restart or every time we reload our scene, but our high score will stay the same. The last thing I need to do though is reset the high score text whenever we reload and reset the text whenever we reload. So I'm just going to say on enable. And then in here, we'll set the text to points text and set the high score text to the high score text. So whenever this thing enables, we set up our text values right. Let's stop and play one more time. Oh, cool. Somebody said they're 11 and my tutorials help them. That's awesome. Glad to hear it. I mean, hopefully it helps everybody. Good stuff. All right. And you definitely should start coding early. I highly recommend it to everybody. Start coding as early as you can. So look, my high score is working. I got to 2400 and now I get to 2800. Let's die again. Bam, I die and it's still at 2800. But if I stop playing and I start playing again, watch what happens. Whoops. Let's see. It resets. That's what's going to happen. You'll see it real quick and then we will make it persist because why not? Okay, there we go. That guy. Oh yeah, I forgot Marvin's are worth 1,000. All right, lots of points there. Okay, let's stop playing and let's make that persist real quick. By the way, if you guys don't mind hitting the like, share, and all that stuff, I really appreciate it. Or just dropping this on Facebook or wherever other places you happen to visit. Really appreciate it. But for now, let's get into saving off our score. So high score, I want to make it save off the high score if we get a new high score. To do that, we'll just say player prefs dot set int, or not set float, set int, and we'll set the high score to underscore high score. That'll just save off our high score in a value named or named high score. The way that player prefs works, by the way, it's really meant to save off player preferences like settings, inputs, and stuff, but it also works great for saving off simple data that you don't care about the player getting into. If you care about the player hacking this high score value, then it's probably not the best option, or you need to do some extra work. But most of the time, we don't care. And here, I don't care at all. So we'll set the high score value, and this is going to save it off on just about any device. On Windows, it saves it in the registry. On mobile devices, it's in different files and systems, and it really just depends on what it is. But this will save it off. And to get the value, I can just go to onEnable and say high score equals player prefs dot get int high score. Now, if I save this off and I try it, you're going to see it doesn't quite work. Let's try it, though. There's a tiny little bug, but I figure why not just show the bug real quick, and then we'll show how to fix it and make the high score actually completely persist and save. So notice that my high score was 0, right? Oh, here, actually, wait, I haven't got a high score yet. Let's get a new high score that's a couple thousand points. All right. I want to get at least more than 2,000. All right, so I got a score of like 4,200. I'm going to stop playing. We'll play again and see if it reloads and shows that value. See, it still shows 0. But if I kill one of these guys, watch it. Oh, it's still going to show 0. So the reason that it's still showing 0, let's go up here, is that I'm getting the high score right after I set the text. So I'm just going to move this line up here, paste it, delete that, come back into Unity, and then we'll hit play again. It should work. Check out what this error message is, by the way. I assume it's just the, ooh, there's something with a bullet. We'll check that out in a second. Let's hit play, see what's going on, and then we'll check out the error message. So come in here, high score is showing up as 4,200. Looks good. And if I get a higher score, am I going to get a higher score? Am I going to die? Yep, 6,000, 7,000, 7,500. That's the ones and the sevens don't do very good in here, by the way. They look very similar. That 7 looks just like the 1. But my high score is working, so I think that's pretty good. I want to go look at what this error message was, though. Oh, here, it says that on collision enter gun.add to pool had an error. Let me show you how to debug that real quick. This has probably been happening for a long time. Let's hit play. Oh, I'm going to uncheck the maximize on play. That's going to mess with me. Uncheck maximize on play. Then I'll hit play, and let's see if we can see it. So click on this right here. Oh, you can't actually see the object. Wait, where'd my error go? Come on, error, come back. Okay, play and pause. I don't know why I'm not getting the error message, but what I expect the error to be is this bullet right here. Oh, it's probably when I walk into it. That's what it is. So I bet I walk into it. Yep, there we go. I walk into this bullet. Look, if you click on it, now that I got the error message again, see that this bullet is causing the error. The reason that what I was trying to do though was show that when you get an error like this, assuming the object's still around, if you click on it, it'll actually highlight that object. And go click on it or show me the bullet. So the problem here is that this bullet, because it's not being spawned by something else, it doesn't have a gun. So gun.add to pool doesn't work. Easy fix though. I can add a question mark here. The error goes away because now if gun is null, it won't add this thing to a pool. So if I happen to leave a bullet stray in the level, it's not going to break anything even if I run into it. Let's stop, play one more time. I'm going to run into the bullet. There we go. Bam. Error message is gone. All right, so I got high scores, I got enemies hitting. Let's add some audio real quick, and then I think we'll probably wrap it up shortly after that. I've been going for a while now. It's a lot of fun and building stuff, but why not put in some audio and a couple more things before I run out of breath and pass out. Also, again, don't forget to like and share and all that stuff. All right, let's go through audio. So we want to put in some sound effects, make them like do a boom or something. It's gonna be weird though, because you're not gonna be able to hear the sound effects through the stream, I bet. Um, hmm. Let's add it really, really quickly then. So if that way, even if you can't hear the sounds, it's not very boring. So let's go find a sound effect thing. Oh, I have a universal sound effects right here. Bam. Let's just download the, oh, that's huge. Um, Interesting. What's this? Free game casual SFX. Let's try this one instead. This one's 8 megabytes. The other one is 886 megabytes. I think that the 8 megabyte version seems a little bit better. So we'll import this one and I'll pull them in real quick. I have no idea what these sounds sound like or what they are, but hopefully there's an explosion. It said something about juicy explosion sound, so hopefully that works. All right, so go in here. We'll find some audio files, casual game sounds, and oh man, they're not named anything useful at all. I'm going to have to turn audio on. Hopefully everybody can suddenly hear my desktop. Let's see. I hit play. Oh, unmute. I don't know if anybody can hear that or not. Let's see. Let me double check this audio. Was not planning on doing an audio setup, but hey, why not? Desktop audio. Why is it not working? Um, hmm. I'm not sure. Sorry, I'm not 100% sure this audio is showing up or working right. Um, well, if not, it's fine. It's only going to take me 2 seconds to add in a sound effect. We just need to let's find some sort of an explosion sound. So we'll go through here and just pick a. I feel like I need to get my sound effects working so you guys can hear it. I can hear all these cool sounds and nobody. Oh, you can hear? Wait, can somebody hear it? Wait, no, people saying they can't hear or they can hear. I'm a little confused. Can anybody hear the sounds? I normally force mute all of my audio sounds. So let's see. Anything now? Any audio sounds? If I hit play and ding this. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear that. Okay, perfect. So let's pick an explosion. Oh my. I wish these were named a little better. Oh, that was an odd one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a sound effect in here. There's so many. Okay, I think I might use that number 7 one. This one. There we go. Yeah, let's try this. It's a weird one, so I'm going to try that out. I wish I had a better explosion sound, but whatever. You guys probably don't want to hear something blowing up constantly anyway. Let's go find the enemy here, or let's use our cute red guy here. And I'm going to check his overrides. He has nothing changed on him. So I'm just going to take this sound effect here and drag it right onto him. Oh, I got to reselect him. Let's collapse all of these so you can see everything. Collapse all that down. And let's just take number 7 and drag it right onto him. This is going to make it so that he automatically plays that. And if I hit loop and leave play on awake on, watch. Oh, mute audio's on. You can hear him constantly playing that, oh, excuse me, somewhat annoying sound, right? So let's change it so that he doesn't play it on awake and he doesn't loop it. So just uncheck both of those. And then I'll save, go to overrides, hit apply all, and then let's make it so that he plays it whenever he takes a hit. So to do that, we just go into our enemy. And in our enemy, just like when we play a particle on hit, we can just play a sound effect on hit. So to do that, we'll say underscore audio source dot play. Audio source doesn't exist, so I'll copy it. Go to find our awake. Oh, we don't have an awake, so let's just do it in update. We'll say audio source equals get component, audio source, and save that off, or I need to generate the field for it. So here what I'm doing is just caching the audio source in our on enable so that we only get it once, and then we'll just play the sound effect whenever we take damage. Getting a little bit more efficient here, but not enough that it's going to make a difference. But I figure why not use some good practices. So I'll generate the field there and then select private and hit enter to just separate that down and get my serialized fields away from my non-serialized ones. That should be enough, assuming I have an audio source. If I hit play now, I expect to hear it on some things and see a lot of errors on others. Let's try it out. So we play. Oh, I hit play once. I gotta hit it one time. I keep hitting it twice. All right, so we'll blast some bad guys. Nothing. Well, I heard it on that guy. So I heard it for the one guy, but nothing else. And if I look down here, it says value cannot be null. The problem is that I didn't do it on all my prefabs. But first, I want to make it so that my audio source doesn't give me an error if I don't have an audio source on it. So in our take damage, if I add that question mark again, it'll essentially do a null check and make sure that the audio source is there. The other way to write this, by the way, if I copy that and just go up here, I could say if audio source, let's do that and tab it in, or if audio source is not equal to null. All of these are going to do kind of the same thing in our scenario right now. If I do the question mark dot, then that will do the same thing here too, because I'm never going to destroy that audio source component. If I destroyed it, then that would be a problem, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to leave the code though, because it doesn't make any difference for me. All right, I'm going to go back into our project view one more time, go to our prefabs, select all of our enemies, and I'm going to make sure that we have the audio source on all of them. So the blue guy has the audio source, the red and white don't. So I'm going to go select them, and then I'll lock my view here, hit the lock, go into our casual game sounds, and I'm just going to take, I'm going to take number 7 again, because I don't remember what those other ones sounded like, and just drop it on here. That should add the component to all of them. I'll unhit the lock, go back into my prefabs folder real quick, the enemies, and just go through them. You should see that there's an audio source on all 3 of them now. Why does this guy have his rigid body removed? Oh, he has it re-added down there. Interesting. Okay, so we'll save and play. The reason for that is just because of it being a variant too. I totally forgot that these were variants and I didn't need to do it on all of them. I could have just done it on the parent one. Oh, you guys can kind of hear it. So if you're wondering, I think that there's a little bit of a delay on that sound effect too. Is that what's going on here? Let's select it. Nope, there isn't. I wonder why it seems a little delayed. I don't know. I don't want to keep dealing with sound effects though, because sound doesn't work very well. So somebody was asking about whether or not we should cache these things in awake instead of on enable or something. And usually I would cache in awake, but on enable is already there, and I'm not going to create an awake just for it. So no real need to add that in. I don't know if there's anything else I want to add, and I'm getting a little bit thirsty and ready for a break. So I just wanted to take a minute, I guess, and run through stuff and just actually, I'll add an animator controller that updates our animation so that when I stop running, it doesn't keep playing that stupid running animation. And just see if anybody's got any questions or anything else you guys want to chat about real quick before I wrap this up. And also just remind everybody again to please just hit the like button and the share and all that stuff. It really makes a big difference. I appreciate it a lot, and it helps a lot. All right, so let's go in and update the animator controller for our player. So I'll go to my robot soldier, and I'm going to go into his animator, double click on the player, and here we have that controller where we just set up the one simple animation. It just plays a run and it loops constantly. But I want to make it so that he'll play a run animation and an idle animation. So I'm going to go back to that Mixamo tab, and I'm going to grab another animation that's like an idle with gun. So here we are on Mixamo. Anybody that missed this earlier, it's a free site. You upload your model, and then you can grab animations and map them right onto it. So you just go sign up, set up an account. It's all free, and it's really cool. I love it. So I want to shoot idle, like a shooting standing or something like that, right? Let's go into the shooter pack and see what's in here. I click on the shooter pack. Oh, actually, it's going to play all of the animations. Let's just find a shoot that's not walking. So I'll find a shoot, maybe rifle. I think that gunplay one looked better. This one right here, something like this, where he's just constantly shooting. Okay, then I'll play with the arm space value again. This just allows me to make a little bit of modification and adjustments on the characters or the animations. I think that looks good. I'll hit download, choose FBX for Unity. Make sure you hit that, and then hit download again. This is just put it into a folder, and then I'll drop it, or I'm going to put it into this animation folder here, just like I did before. So if you missed it, all I'm doing is saving it into this folder right here off screen. Go to the animation folder, and I'm going to save this, essentially this right here. It's this little window, save, and it should pop up in here. Now I go to the gunplay, and I need to adjust the rig. So by default, with these characters, because they're using the humanoid rig, I need to set it up to use that same rig. So I switch over to humanoid, and instead of creating, I want to choose copy from other avatar, hit the search box, and go choose my robot soldier avatar that already existed with the character automatically because you've set up as a humanoid. I hit apply and import it, and now I've got two animations. So I'm going to take my gunplay animation, expand it out, get the animation part, that's the little triangle there, and drop it into the animator window, or this animator area right below my run. Now, I'm going to go into the, actually, let's go to scene view. Let's disable all of my spawners real quick. I'm going to disable the spawners, and I'm going to kill off these other NPCs, these red robots, and the explosions. By the way, speaking of NPCs, I don't know if I showed anybody that, but this NPC shirt, really cool. Yeah, I'll talk more about that later. It was really cool. I'm excited about it. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up and get back into the animation stuff. So I'll collapse this down, go back into my player animator, and what I want to do is make it so that we can transition between these two, but I want to see the animations in action first. So I'm gonna hit play, and let's watch the guy run real quick. So we should see him running, right? And now I'm gonna make it so that he doesn't do that and he switches to the other animation. So stop playing. I'm going to go to the animator. I'm going to right click and make this his default. So he goes into gunplay instead, and then hit play. And now he just stands there kind of playing this, but oh, he's not looping, right? So let's fix that. Let's adjust it so that it loops. So go to the gunplay animation, go to the animation window, and let's just preview it real quick and see it there playing. I'm going to hit the loop time button, or loop time checkbox, and hit apply. And then let's make sure that this is showing up not underneath me. Drag that out of the way. So I've got loop time on, and you can see him animating down there, right? He's doing the little wiggle. And I want to do that offset that I did too, just like before when I did the rotation offset, so that his gun looked more towards the blue. The goal here is to make it so that the gun is facing towards the blue. That way when he's forward, his animation has him shooting the gun towards his forward animation, or his forward direction. Just grab the offset and drag it to the left until it lined up. We'll hit apply, hit play, and now we should see it show up. It's funny, somebody was mentioning Smash TV. That was kind of inspiration for this. Right? Very, very much a good inspiration point. All right, so now he's got that animation, but I want to make him be able to switch between the two. So to do that, I'm just going to make a transition in my animator. I'll go to the animator while I'm not playing, right click, hit make transition, and drag it up to run. Then I'll right click on run, make transition, drag it down to gunplay. I'm going to zoom in a bit. You can see these a little bit better. So here are my two transitions. If I hit play now, you see that he's going to switch between the two, go back and forth. So run, walk, run, walk, run, walk, run, walk. What I want to do is make it so that he only switches whenever I'm not moving. So that he switches based on my movement speed, essentially. So to do that, we'll add a parameter. Go to parameters, hit the plus, we'll add a float, and call this, actually, you know what? Let's hit delete. I don't want to add a float. Let's add a bool, and let's call this walk. I wanted to turn it on and off when I'm using controls and not care about my actual speed. So it'd be based on whether or not I'm pushing down on the keyboard. So when walk is true, I want to hit, or actually let's rename this to run. My animation's named run. When run is true, I want to do this transition from gunplay to run. So to set that up, I go to conditions, hit plus, and it'll kind of automatically add because I only have one parameter and the default value is true. So when it's true, it'll switch into that run. And then what I want to do is switch out of run when it's not true. So I'll click on the transition from run to gunplay, hit plus, and I'll switch this from true to false. Now I'm going to uncheck has exit time on both of these so that there's no blending of the animations and it just kind of snaps in and happens really fast. Save this off. And now if I try to run this, I mean, it'll work. Let's try it. Hit play. But there's nothing in code that's going to hook it up, right? So I've got it going here. It's set up. If I drag my animator down and I check this box, you can see that it switches between the two animations. And here, if I hold Alt and drag around, you can actually watch it in action. If I select the robot, see it playing gunplay, and I switch, and it switches to playing run. So now I just need to make some code that does a little call to set this Boolean, to set this run to true or false. To do that, I'll go into my player script. And here, when we move, I'll just set that value to true if my horizontal or vertical are greater than 0 and false if they're not. So I need to get access to my animator. So here, somebody was asking about awake earlier and caching things. Let's add an awake now. add an awake method, and here let's cache the animator. So say underscore animator equals get component animator, and then we'll generate a field for it. And I'm going to turn this into an expression body method because it's a one-liner and it doesn't need to be any more than that. I'll get rid of the private keyword there and that extra space. And then in our code here in the update, when we do the movement, I'll just say, hey, if the movement magnitude is greater than 0, then we should be running. If it's not, then we should be not running. Now, magnitude is a variable or a field on our vector3. I guess it's probably a property actually that just gives us back, or it's probably actually a field that returns back the value, the total magnitude of all of our different distances. So if we had like a 1 on the y, we'd have a 1 for it. If we had a 1 on the y and a 1 on the x, we'd get whatever it is, like 1.414, I think. You essentially get the total distance of that vector. So we'll say right here, animator dot set bool run, and we'll set it to movement dot magnitude greater than 0. So if the magnitude is greater than 0, run is true. If it's less than 0, it'll be false. And anybody asking about the stream, yes, it'll be available after. You can definitely go through it afterwards and rewatch, follow along, and everything else. All right, let's play one more time and see if the animation switches. There we go. And then I start running. It's animating. Yep, looking good. And then I stop running and it stops animating. Or stops running, playing the run animation. I think the last thing I'm gonna do is just move this dude down so he's actually on the ground. Right now his position was up above the ground, so he's kind of floating. Put him down to 0. I don't want him to fall into that crater or anything. I think that it's fine if he just hovers over it for now. And like I said, he's getting a little bit thirsty and a little tired. So I'm gonna stop playing. I'm gonna turn on these spawners one more time, play through it real quick, and then just answer questions for the next few minutes. And then we'll start to wrap things up. Okay, let's blow up some more enemies. Okay, I'm going to mute the audio because it's going to just keep bleeping and blooping at us and stuff. But you can see, it looks like it's working. Everything feels pretty good. Kind of a cool little game. And maybe I'll like publish it up or at least share the code. I guess I could just zip up the code. I'll do that. I'll put the code into the description below. Give a link so everybody can just grab it if they want to check it out. Obviously, you got to go grab the assets or whatever assets you want and go through the setup and stuff. But if you want to be able to compare the code and see like if you missed anything or anything like that, be able to check that out. All right, I'm gonna stop playing, switch over to camera mode for just a minute, and just go through any questions. See if anybody had anything for like the next 5 minutes or so, and then I'm gonna bail out, go get a drink, some food, and hang out with kids and all the other stuff. If you just joined, don't worry though. You can always go back through and rewatch and make sure you're subscribed. I'll probably do some more of these, and I think I'm going to do a full video on how to build a 3D game, like kind of like a longer one. I did one on how to build a 2D game a couple times. I'm building out Angry Birds and practiced it and got better and better at it. And I think that this is kind of a good starting point to build out a full video on how to build a 3D game from scratch with no experience. So if you're interested in that, make sure that you're subscribed and stuff as well. Oh, the shirt. It's just this hoodie. Ia, who made the Brackies logo, made this, and I really like it. So might offer it sometime soon. And then she also made this thing, my debug mug that I love. I send one to my buddy Joe, and I might make these available sometime too. I don't know, but I'm yeah, just excited about it. I really like this hoodie. I have like 10 of them though, because I've been trying to get different sizes and figure out like the right printing of stuff of cool design. I just thought it was neat. Like it's basically just NPC stuff, bunch of little NPC jokes and stuff. It was kind of cool. Okay, so let's see questions. Trying to use projectors to represent what area was being selected. Okay, so with projectors, there's been a lot of changes with URP, and I'm not sure what the best options are there. I wish I could give you some really good advice on showing the selection stuff with URP. It's been a little while since I had to do it, but maybe I could put that into a video sometimes. I want to do a couple of new URP videos now that I feel like things are getting stabilized. So maybe I could do one that shows how to do some projectors and bullets and a couple other things in URP and just setting up a project with it too. Let's see. How do you sync lists with Unity networking? That I'm not sure I would recommend anymore. I wouldn't use the built-in Unity networking stuff. Or go with something like Mirror or one of the other one of the other networking options out there. The built-in stuff, the UNet stuff is deprecated and it's gonna disappear eventually. They pulled it out once and like kind of put it back in because it broke a bunch of things. But I wouldn't start using that as your base. Let's go with something else. Let's see. Could you in the future keep working on a project like this and teach us how to optimize everything? Yeah. Probably not this exact project, but I definitely could do something like that. Hey, what's up, Jabril? Just saw your message. Sweet. Hey, thanks, man. I'm having a great weekend, man. Having a blast. Just coding. I took the week off for the most part. Haven't done much, and just dove in and being able to just write code and have a blast with this stuff is too much fun. Just making games. Send message versus Unity events. I never ever use send message. I do use Unity events in, especially in gameplay design areas. I did a video really recently on Unity events versus events, and I highly recommend checking that out if you're not familiar with events or Unity events. If you're not familiar with either one, you should know about them both and see like kind of where and how to use them. There's a lot of really good use cases for both of them. Um, let's see. Somebody's got first professional game dev job next week. That's awesome. I'd be nervous too, but it's gonna be nervous but fun. Just make sure that you don't like overbook a lot of other things because your mind's probably gonna be overwhelmed with stuff going on. So you don't want to have too many other things popping up, right? Like going on in your life when you're starting out that new job. Oh, someone wants an inventory system. That'd be a cool one to build. And okay. Oh, I think we're starting to run out of message. And I'm definitely not an Aquarius. How do you feel about using visual scripting? I don't particularly like to use it myself for things because I feel like I can do things a lot faster, a lot more efficiently by writing code. I like visual scripting systems to allow designers to do light customization and light control over stuff. But that's about it. I try not to use them for whole game systems just because I feel like it makes it harder. It makes it harder for me to comprehend and understand things. If you're not familiar with coding, obviously, then that's not always the case. Let's see. Okay, I'm out of breath, and there's a lot of questions. I don't have any more good answers to anything, so I'm gonna wrap it up here and just say thanks again to everybody, and we'll definitely do this again. If everybody wants to see this again, whenever we get to like 2,000 likes or something, I'll do the next one. Sound like a good plan? I don't know. I'll do it really soon though. Do another video and either extend on this or maybe build something different. So I'll put up a poll and see if people want to extend this thing out, build some more stuff on top of it, or if you guys want to go through building like a different type of game and go through that process. Anyway, thanks again everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and especially the share button. If you just go share this on whatever thing that you share stuff on, it makes more of a difference than anything else. Really appreciate it again. All right. Thanks everybody. I'm gonna go get a drink before I pass out. Bye.